And Sammy White, the outside receivers, with veteran Bob Tucker at tight end. The offensive line, Steve Riley, Brent Boyd, Dennis Swilley, Wes Hamilton, Ron Yeri. Yeri coming back after an injury to his foot. He'll be watched closely. Vikings have won 2, lost 2. In motion, the tight end. Give it off inside to number 34, Ricky Young from Jackson State, where he was the blocking back for Walter Payton. Eddie Payton, the older brother of Walter, the kick return man for Minnesota. The Steelers defensively deployed in this manner. L.C. Greenwood, Joe Green, some of those familiar names Merlin talked about. Steve Furness and John Banaszak in the front 4. The linebackers, Ham, Lambert, and Cole. We'll see Lauren Taves a lot as well today. Ron Johnson and Mel Blunt at the corners. Donnie Shell and Mike Wagner. Wagner had 3 interceptions last week, are at safety. Second down, 6 at the Minnesota 28. Ted Brown spinning outside and has the first down, I believe, close to the 35-yard line. Brown in his second year from North Carolina State.
Dick, this is a team, this Minnesota team, that basically has depended on the pass over the past few seasons. No question that they molded themselves around Fran Tarkington. Ted Brown, they feel, is the kind of a man who can give them balance. Watch him spin here. Beautiful move, gets to the outside. Number 56, Robin Cole, had pinned himself inside. Brown able to get a good gain before they drive him out.
They make the measurement, and it's a first down for Minnesota. It is a glorious football day. Merlin and I, as we made our drive over to the park today, commenting that it's the first time this season for us that we've run into a true football afternoon.
There's something in the air that just tells us it's time for this game to be played, and both these teams have been playing in the heat too. This is really the first time they've had to play on an afternoon that, well, I guess this is what you'd call classic football weather.
Well, Noel is looking for his first win in Minnesota. He's 0-3 against the Vikings on this turf. That's Sammy White in motion. Kramer tossing to Brown. And he fights to the 40-yard line. Nearly a 5-yard gain. Crowd of 47,000, the usual sellout here in Viking country. They'll be moving indoors in a couple of years. A dome stadium being constructed in downtown Minneapolis will be ready for the 1982 season. Joe Sensor and Bob Tucker, the tight ends, bring in the plays from the sidelines. That's Sensor, number 81 in the huddle.
And when they move indoors, they lose one of their strongest allies, the weather. They've always been tough on the frozen slopes of this field, and they'll lose that when they move indoors.
As you well know, we'd like to pursue that later in the telecast. 2nd and 5 from the 39. Brown again. Out to the 44-yard line, shy of a first down. Tackle made by Jack Ham, number 59. Good block by Ron Yeri, 73. And let's see where they spot that ball. I believe it'll be short by about a half yard.
One of the people we wanted to look at early, Ron Yeri, number 73, out pulling in front of that play, doing an excellent job. Watch him, the top of your screen. He's pulling. L.C. Greenwood you'll see coming out, but it's Yeri who led that play to the outside, getting a good block right there. You see the end of it as he blocked on Ham. L.C. Greenwood doing a good job of pursuing to the outside. And of course, Ham just trying to buy some time out there so he could get some pursuit from the inside. Very close. They're going to measure it. But obviously, the Vikings wanting to establish a running game here. And one thing that really concerned the Pittsburgh coaches before they came into this game, the Vikes have looked pretty bad in the films. And that's the toughest game to get ready for, emotionally and mentally, because you look and you say, boy, these guys are terrible. Not true. This is a tough team to beat, especially here in Minnesota.
How well you know. 3rd and less than a yard at the 44. Ricky Young, easily the first down at the 48-yard line. Young, who blocked for his nephew Walter Payton at Jackson State and played high school ball in Mobile, Alabama with Robert Brazil, the all-pro linebacker of the Oilers.
Young, a versatile performer, certainly as happy catching the ball as running it, but he has really paid his dues here in Minnesota. Fine all-purpose back.
He has 276 catches. Tarkington and Kramer have used him as a primary receiver along with his running talents. 72 yards rushing this year. Brown's been the leading rusher, 203 yards. First down, Minnesota 48. Kramer's first pass of the game. In trouble. Dumps it off, complete to Brown. 40. He's all the way to the 35-yard line. First down for Ted Brown, a gain of 16.
One of the legacies that Tarkington left Tommy Kramer was a short passing game, but Fran couldn't help him here. He did it on his own. Watch him here. He'll be trapped. He gets out of that with a short throw, but that's a superb catch by Green right there. Let's watch Ted as he gets into the open on this pass, and watch the excellent move that he makes. Turning back to the football, catching it literally with one hand. That's a fine ball reaction, great control, and of course made a nice run afterwards.
First down from the 35, Ricky Young. Out of one tackle, Noel Blunt slowed him down, and Mike Wagner and John Banaszak finished him off at the 32-yard line. It'll be second down and 7. Chuck Noll of the Pittsburgh Steelers, 49 years old in his 12th year, winningest Steeler coach ever. Of course, the only coach who can boast of 4 Super Bowl titles.
Steelers traditionally tough on defense in the first quarter, but the Vikes are moving the ball comfortably against them right now.
The Pittsburgh defense has not allowed a touchdown in the first quarter this year. They have a habit of that sort of thing under Noel. Kramer trying to end that scoreless 80 string. Throwing long for Rashad, but too long on the sidelines. Rashad, so graceful in his manner. He just reached out and plucked that ball with one hand, even though he knew he was going over the sidelines. But he makes everything look easy. He's the Charlie Gehringer of pro football.
Tommy Kramer, Dick, had his worst week ever last week with 5 interceptions. And they say here in Minnesota that when Kramer gets on, if his timing is on, if he's getting protection and he can kind of settle into that passing game, he can really eat you alive. Early in the game, he's had time to throw the football and appears to be getting into his rhythm. I don't think the Steelers can allow him to do that if they want to control this game defensively.
Minnesota using 3 wide receivers, and out of the shotgun, Kramer for the first time. This offense introduced to the attack by Grant this year. Open is Rashad, but he didn't get both feet down. The pass is a little too high, as twice Rashad makes catches, but both times the ball thrown out of bounds. It'll be 4th down and 7, and Greg Coleman, the punter, is going to come in. Danmeyer will not try the long field goal. Coleman, who is quite good at hitting him out of bounds inside the 20, will try to do exactly that.
Well, one of the things that Coleman says of himself, he said, I'm really not a selfish punter. I don't punt for the average. I punt for the most yardage I can get from my team, and certainly this is a case where if you kick it into the end zone, you'll only gain 12 yards on the punt. Obviously not worth much as a punt.
Steelers have no one deep, so Coleman aims it for the sidelines, and it goes in the end zone. For Coleman, that's only the 18th time he's kicked the ball into the end zone, while 62 times he was able to plant it inside the 20. He misses on that one. Timeout here at Metropolitan Stadium, Bloomington, Minnesota. Just underway. 4 minutes and a half have been played. No score. Pittsburgh has the ball for the first time after the punt in the end zone. Steelers have it at the 20-yard line. Terry Bradshaw, the quarterback, Franco Harris, and Greg Hawthorne, the running back. Harris dropped after a 1-yard gain by number 59, Matt Blair, a 7-year veteran from Iowa State. Here are the Steelers. We told you Bradshaw at quarterback with Harris and the youngster second-year back Hawthorne. Wide receivers, Jim Smith for the injured John Stallworth. He's caught 5 touchdowns in 3 games. Swan with a tight end, Grossman. Peterson and Penny. Webster, the strong center, all-pro. Corson and Brown, the offensive line. They protect Bradshaw as well as any line. Protects its quarterback. Inside handoff. Hawthorne gains 4 before Doug Sutherland, 69, drags him down. It's 3rd and 5. The defense for the Vikings. Mullaney, White, Sutherland, and Holloway. Sutherland, the only remaining member of the former People Eaters. Matt Blair, Scott Studwell, and Fred McNeil are the linebackers. Young corner John Turner from Miami of Florida. The veteran Bobby Bryant, he's 36. Tommy Hannon, they say the best defensive back for Minnesota. And Kurt Knopf, leading the team in tackles, is Knopf. 3rd and 5. Bradshaw's first throw. Complete to to Swan. 45-50. 45, and Swan is out of bounds at the Minnesota 41. Tommy Hannon ran him out of bounds, but Swan a long gainer for Pittsburgh.
And that kind of pattern can only be run when a team has a lot of time. Let's watch the play develop. And watch the amount of time that Terry Bradshaw has to throw. Excellent protection by his line. Swan coming all the way across the field. Very, very difficult to cover. Doing a good job of picking the extra yardage. Let's look at Matt Blair, fine linebacker. Quick shot of him here. He's trying to get deep, get into coverage. He'll get back, but not in time to do much with Lynn Swan.
30-yard gain, make it 35 yards, and Jim Smith broken up by Bobby Bryant. Bryant, 36 years of age, and that is quite a commendation for any athlete to try to play the toughest position maybe in all of sport, cornerback, and at 36, Bryant still hanging in there. First report from Philadelphia. The Redskins on a Joe Theismann to Ricky Thompson pass, 54 yards, lead Philadelphia 7-0. Here no score. 8:58 remaining, first quarter. Second and 10 from the 41. Harris all the way to the 32-yard line. A gain of about 9. It'll bring up third and short. Scott Studwell made the tackle for Minnesota, 55.
Bradshaw does an excellent job of mixing his plays. On a situation that Minnesota obviously expected him to pass, crossed him up, ran the quick popper up inside, quick trap. I think Pittsburgh runs the traps better than any team in football. It runs more different traps than any team in football.
They come in their short yardage formation. Third and 1. Harris, first down. And he drives to the 27-yard line. So the Steelers move into field goal range and have a new series of downs. John Turner, 27, finally stopped Harris. Franco continuing to pile up the yardage, the number 3 rusher all time, and he needs 1 touchdown to tie Leroy Kelly and become the number 3 scorer rushing all time. You see Turner, the young quarterback, defensively. New England has taken the lead against the Jets 7-0 on a Don Calhoun run in the first quarter. New England 7, the Jets 0. Harris jammed in the middle, able to get to the 25-yard line, maybe a yard gain, possibly 2. Tom Hannon, Scott Studwell, and the front 4 all there to smother that attempt. In comes Jeff Seaman, number 50 from Minnesota. Their fine middle linebacker. He's now in the starting, not in the starting lineup, but because of his skills, Bud Grant has gone to the 3-4 this year. Doug Sutherland goes out, and Seaman becomes the 4th linebacker.
That's exactly what we're seeing here. 3-man rush, 4 defensive linebackers employed. They want Seaman in the game because he's too good to have on the bench. Let's see if they don't come with a blitz here to try and get some pressure on Bradshaw.
Second and 9 from the 25. Bradshaw all day. Dumps it off to Harris. At the 21, a good solid tackle over there by Tom Hannon to make sure that Harris didn't get more. Stopped him at the 21, 4 yards, and Bradshaw had much too much time.
Well, you see the disadvantage and the advantage both illustrated very graphically there. Obviously, with a 3-man rush, you don't get the kind of pressure on a quarterback you'd like to have. And watch it for yourselves. Bradshaw has time to eat his lunch and study the field. As it turns out, he could not get deep. Ended up throwing short. And one of the advantages, as we said, is that you've got 4 linebackers deployed short. He gets the ball to Franco, but the linebackers are up and make a good, solid tackle, and he gets less than he wanted on the play.
Third and 5. Bradshaw in the end zone. Touchdown. Number 85, Calvin Sweeney. His first professional touchdown. He's in the lineup now because of the injury to Stallworth. He was the 3rd wide receiver, and the former star at USC has his first NFL score.
And you have to wonder where Chuck Noll and his personnel department keep coming up with these people. Sweeney was cut at the end of training camp and sat around waiting for a call. Never got one. Stayed in Pittsburgh, and they activated him with the loss of Stallworth. You see right there the kind of performance he brings to this team.
Bradshaw leads the NFL with 12 touchdown passes. Matt Barr's kick is no good. It might have been deflected. Minnesota, best at pressuring the kicker of any NFL team in the last 5-10 years. Barr may have just simply missed that one, and it could be a very important misfire. Timeout. 6 minutes and 15 seconds remaining in the first quarter. The Steelers have scored first and lead here in Minnesota 6-0. Lead 6-0, an 80-yard drive in 9 plays. 21 yards. Sweeney from Bradshaw. Barr, who missed the extra point, kicks it off. Eddie Payton deep. 5 yards in the end zone. He's going to take it out. The 10. And he makes it across the 20 to the 22. About 27 yards on the return. Let's go back to the missed extra point by Matt Barr.
This area of the field that he's kicking from has been resodded. It's the infield, and it's very, very rough. Watch the dirt he kicks up just before he reaches the ball. I think he actually skipped into that ball, kicking it off to the side and missing the kick.
Tough for the kickers. Most of them complain about coming back to natural turf. It's much easier to have the ball set up on the artificial carpet.
Actually, Barr is very comfortable on a natural turf, and it doesn't bother him because of all his soccer. But any kicker will have trouble if he gets into a rough area where his foot can hit and skip into that ball.
As Merlin pointed out, that's the resodded area from the baseball diamond here at the Met. First down, 22-yard line. Kramer hands off to Ricky Young, and he plows to the 25, maybe the 26-yard line. John Banisak from Eastern Michigan and Joe Green of North Texas State with a tackle. Another report from Atlanta. The unbeaten Detroit Lions on a 43-yard field goal by Eddie Murray take the early lead against the Falcons 3-0. Ball spotted at the 25. 2nd and 7. And Lauren Taves, 51, has replaced Robin Cole. Chuck Noll will use Taves. He's an excellent defender against the pass. So in a pass situation, he'll replace Cole. Better against the run is Cole. Brown. Boy, did that open up. And Brown is all the way to the 43-yard line.
Let's go down, Dick, and see why that play opened up so effectively. John Banisak, the defensive end, the man responsible for filling that hole to the inside. Watch him, number 76, right in the middle of your screen. And Riley is into his legs, gets enough of him to take him down, and there goes the play to the outside. Excellent job on the outside. Rashad doing a good job of blocking. Ricky Young in there, too, doing a good job of getting that yardage.
Pittsburgh on a Sweeney touchdown. First down at the 43, Minnesota. Young in motion, and it's Brown this time. That's a good block there. And knocked out of bounds at the Pittsburgh 49. Good play by Young, who came back inside. That was not a crackback. He just gave him a good shoulder bump and allowed Brown some running room to the far sidelines.
One of the things that Mel Blount does best is to force from the corner. He's got to stay outside. Ricky Young had position on him and just closes on him. You'll get to see it on the outside. See Ricky Young just disappearing at the top of your picture. As Brown goes to the outside, right there, you saw Young come back in and close the cornerback Mel Blount to the inside. That made it possible for him to pick up that yard.
2nd and 2. White in motion. That means both Rashad and White are to the near side. Kramer stays on the ground. Flag goes down as Young has the first down at the Pittsburgh 45, but check the penalty, the first flag of the day. Preliminary signal is holding against Minnesota. Other scores at Houston. The Seahawks of Seattle have scored first. 3-0 Seattle. Efren Herrera, a 31-yard field goal. And at New Orleans, the Cardinals have a 7-0 lead. Wayne Morris, a 2-yard run. Here, 6-0 Pittsburgh, and Minnesota suffers the 10-yard penalty.
Illegal use of the hands, 62, offense, 2nd down.
Brent Boyd, the rookie from UCLA, 3rd-round draft pick, in for the injured Jim Huff, guilty of the hold.
Many of the problems that Minnesota has had in the past couple of seasons have been directly traceable to breakdowns in their offensive line. Didn't hurt them or didn't help them to lose Gary Huff, fine lineman, fine guard. They've had to replace him in there, and they've had a lot of transition problems on the inside, Dick.
2nd down and 12. Kramer, who is 1 for 3, in trouble. Finally L.C. Greenwood on the second chance tackles him at the 39. Greenwood had a piece of him early. Kramer able to dart away, and L.C. had him zeroed in. And Greenwood finally made the stop and a loss, the first sack of the day.
You don't very often get a second chance like that, and those are the kind you're mad at yourself for the rest of the week. Greenwood getting there, having a perfect shot at the tackle, but did get the second chance and didn't miss it the second time.
L.C. All-Pro out of Arkansas A&M. He went to college on an academic scholarship, and he's used his brains as well as his quickness and size as an All-Pro NFL performer. Steelers with an extra defensive back on 3rd and 15. Deep and complete. It appeared to be Ahmad Rashad, was it, or Sammy White? Sammy White, number 85, and what a throw by Kramer. It's a first down at the Pittsburgh 36-yard line.
They're working on Mel Blount on the far side. You see Sammy White right there going past Blount. Blount coming back up. Obviously, someone expected deep. There he is, J.T. Thomas, a little slow getting over from his safety position. They're obviously running the kind of a defense where Blount had to hold him short, then come back up into the short zone. They go over Blunt's head. J.T. not there in time to make the tackle, but did tag him before he could get off the ground.
White, who in 4 years has caught 187 passes with the Vikings. A big first down at the 36. Ted Brown trying to get outside. In trouble. But he finds an opening and makes a gain of almost 5 yards. Boy, that's quite an ad lib.
You won't see that happen many times. Normally the Steeler pursuit is so good that you won't have an opening like that. But Ted Brown very smooth in the way he picked his spot. Maybe that little slip helped him. He popped up through there, made a good gain out of it.
Brown has carried 5 times for 43 yards, averaging better than 8 yards a try against Chuck Noll's Steelers. 2nd and 5 at the 31. Gary Dunn has replaced Burness at right tackle. Dunn, number 67 for Pittsburgh. Tight end sensor in motion. They go the other way to Brown. Nothing there, and he stepped out of bounds, I believe, right at the 30-yard line. And Vikings are complaining that there's a late hit out of bounds, but no flag.
31, Donnie Shell, a very aggressive player, but the back, and let's lay it out, the back was still running and still in bounds, although the whistle had blown. And Shell did not take what would be considered as a cheap shot, the officials having the option, even though the whistle had blown, to call it a dead play at that point.
3rd down, and call it 4.5.
It's a very vocal crowd, however, and they announce how they feel about that particular play.
Out goes Cole. Extra defensive back is in, J.T. Thomas. Kramer to throw. Gonna run it. 30, 25, 20, and he's all the way to the 17. A first down for Minnesota. Donnie Shell, 31, made the tackle.
Tommy Kramer is a mobile quarterback, but he's almost benefited, as Ted Brown was moments ago, by a little slip. Watch him here. As he slips down, I think people lose sight of it. And for just a second, the defensive linemen relaxed, linebackers relaxed. He gets up, scoots up the middle, didn't really have time to look for his receivers, makes a big first down run out of it.
Jack Ham following the play, finishing off the tackle, started by Mike Wagner. It's been an impressive drive by Minnesota. Began back near their 20. Robert Miller, 35, in for the first time for Minnesota. That's Miller, incomplete. Miller from Kansas. Tommy Kramer, they're going to have a big affair here and Meet the Vikings affair a week from next Thursday. Ray Scott, Grady Alderman, the announcers for the Minnesota radio broadcasts, and Fran Tarkenton here to raise money for children's charities, and they're going to auction off various gear from the Vikings, and Kramer has donated his baby picture. Well, he's quite a star. You imagine there'll be a young lady that'll help out a children's cause by getting that picture.
Well, he can't act like a baby anymore. The job is squarely in his hands now, and right now he's doing a good job with that football.
2nd and 10. incomplete. Joe Sensor was wide open, but Kramer throwing on the run didn't have enough zip on it. Mike Wagner was blitzing.
Yeah, reading the blitz. He knew he had to get that ball up. There wasn't much time. And again, this is something that you learn more and more over the years. You have a little bit of time, and you've got to take as much as you can get. Kramer sees the blitz coming, really threw that ball more quickly than he needed to throw it. But, of course, he wants to get it all the way there. Sensor, had it been there, would have had a fine game.
They really like Sensor. He's from Westchester State, drafted in the 6th round a year ago. Was injured last year. Was an outstanding small college basketball player. 3rd and 10 at the 17. A lot of time. Into the end zone. Almost intercepted. Well covered by Blunt. Also back there was Taves. The linebacker was deep in the end zone to help out.
And that's the kind of pass that should never have been thrown. When you throw one into the crowd that way, you're giving the opponents an equal chance. In fact, in that case, a much better chance because there were about 4 of them and just 1 receiver. Watch the pass yourselves. Kramer doing a good job of getting extra time here, but probably should have fired that one out of the end zone. Look how many white shirts there are. Only 1 receiver, and they actually had the ball in their hands. They lost it. It won't go as an interception, but it will go as a pass that should not have been thrown.
Mike Wagner had the best chance at the interception. It's a 35-yard attempt by Danmeyer. On its way, and it is good. A drive that was sparked by a couple of interesting scrambles of Brown and Kramer leads to 3 points. Timeout, 1:45 lefty. 1:45 remaining in the first quarter. Danmeyer has it teed up. Frank Pollard, number 44 deep for Pittsburgh from ground level. Here it comes right at you. Short kick. And Calvin Sweeney just did get it in time at the 25. That's a free ball.
I don't think that was kicked that high intentionally, but it almost turned out to be a great play for the Vikes. That ball hung up so long, the first line of defenders or first line of receivers went past the ball. The ball took a high kick into the air, and had not Calvin Sweeney reacted very intelligently, it would have been picked up by the Vikings.
Sweeney, a former USC Trojan, just did grab it away from a rookie from USC, Dennis Johnson, activated for this game today. Terry Bradshaw audibilizing. First down at the 25. Greg Hawthorne. Hawthorne from Baylor, the #1 pick of the Steelers a year ago, gains 1. Mark Mullaney, 77, keyed the tackle. Update from Philadelphia. The Eagles have tied the Redskins at 7 as Ron Jaworski hits Leroy Harris a 51-yard pass play. 7-all, the Skins and Eagles in Philly. 2nd and 9. On the 26 of Pittsburgh, Steelers lead 6-3. They missed the extra point on their touchdown. Harris, 25, 28-yard line. Kurt Knopf. It's not a good statistic when your safety leads the team in tackles, but he has been the leading tackler for Minnesota. Number 25, Knopf, and he registers another.
Dick, let's look for a second at the statistics on 3rd down conversions for the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Minnesota Vikings. 3rd and 8 yards to go, and the Steelers have just been absolutely fantastic on the year, able to convert at a very high ratio, 59, almost 60% of the time they were able to pick up the first down. That is absolutely incredible.
That is a measure of their total strength. 3rd and 7. Bradshaw, and he gets it away to Swan for a first down at the 42. Oh my, and there's one of the reasons. Bradshaw just being surrounded by purple shirts. One had a hand on him, and he still gets the pass away for a 15-yard gain.
We talk about the mobility of a quarterback. You'll see something else in this pass. Bradshaw will be completely out of position and on his back foot. Watch him here. He eludes the rush right there. He throws off his back foot, still has enough power in his arm to deliver a perfect pass to Swan. Big, big first down.
Well, that's one of the many remarkable plays between Bradshaw and his receivers. A first down at the end of the first quarter at the Met in Bloomington. Inventing this great game of football, they had a day like this in mind. 50 degrees, partly cloudy skies, a sellout crowd, beautiful fall day. Bloomington in Minnesota. We open the second quarter. Steelers ball. Pittsburgh 6, Minnesota 3 from the 42-yard line. Bradshaw going long to Smith. And no flag. The official started to reach in his pocket and then took his hand away at the 10-yard line. There was a little bump between Smith and the defender, Bobby Bryant.
You know, if you've got a 36-year-old quarterback over there, that somewhere early in the game, you're going to find out how fast he can run. And there it is right there. And you saw the bump. 86 Smith. Let's look at that 36-year-old quarterback doing a good job of getting position and using his intelligence to anticipate that play. Running hard. The reason they didn't call that is because his back was to the ball. He just turned and looked for that ball. The receiver more or less stopped on it, forced the bump. Otherwise, I think that would have been called. It was still close and could have been called.
Tough call. It really was tough. Second and 10, and that's Harris up the middle, blasting into Minnesota territory. And it appears he has a first down all the way to the Viking 47.
In fact, Dick, that would fall into the category of unintentional interference. And you talk to officials, that's the toughest call for them to make.
Let's look at the first quarter statistics, Merlin. Both teams had long drives. Minnesota had the ball for 2 long drives, and the Steelers with 1.
I think the most important part of the statistics is that 75-yard rushing by the Vikes. That's about what they've been getting in a whole ball game. Not just a quarter.
Here's Greg Hawthorne with a fine run all the way to the 32-yard line, and another Pittsburgh first down. The Vikings have had the worst record in the NFC against the rush, and so Pittsburgh going right at their Achilles. 15 yards for Hawthorne. Purple gang with Mullaney, White, Dave Roller now, and Randy Holloway. Blair, Seaman, and McNeil, the linebackers. Turner and Bryant at the corners. Hannon and Knopf at safety. First down. And Harris rumbles to the 28-yard line before Mullaney can drag him down.
You start the game of scrimmage and start your control on the line of scrimmage, trying to control the line of scrimmage. The Vikings have certainly tried to get themselves going here. Mark Mullaney, number 77, getting across there. Duck White, 72, got a piece of Franco. But Franco able to find a hole and make a little room for himself. Got a good gain out of it.
Having trouble with Merlin's microphone, we apologize for that. We're going to make a switch. You can't hear him a bit better. Bradshaw on second down and 6. It's to Harris. Oh, look at the power of Harris. He just knocked one of the Vikings flat on his back as he tried to make the tackle. And Harris is close to another Pittsburgh first down. Duck White, number 72. Kurt Knopf was the man who was blasted backwards trying to help out on the tackle.
To give you an idea of the Vikings' emphasis on that front line, Mullaney, White, and Holloway, all first-round draft picks in the last 6 years. And their first-round pick this year, Doug Martin, obviously destined, they feel, to step into that line. But that gives you an indication of the emphasis that they place on the line of scrimmage. And, of course, for many years, they dominated games defensively with that great front four. They'd like to get back to that. They have not yet found that kind of coordination in this defensive line.
Well, when we talked to Bud Grant yesterday, talked wistfully of those days when the names were Page and Marshall and Eller. Bradshaw to Swan. Incomplete, and it just missed. And there's one of the reasons why Swan is such an outstanding receiver. He doesn't waste any effort going for the ball until the proper time to go up after it. He was bracing himself for that final leap. The pass was just out of his reach, but no wasted effort too soon by Swan.
Watch it at the end of the play here. Bradshaw again with plenty of time to throw the football, puts it out in front. You see, Bradshaw has great control on that football. You will not throw a pass of that kind when Swan is in front of the defenders, only when he's equal to them or behind them.
Second and 10 from the Minnesota 22. Hawthorne trying to get outside. He's to the 17, the 16-yard line. Hawthorne is playing because Sidney Thornton is still injured, a bad neck. Chuck Knowles says someday down the line, at least based on his personnel in 1980, Hawthorne and Thornton will be his backs when Blyer, who's going to retire this year, and Franco Harris, heaven forbid, Steeler fans would think, when Harris decides to hang them up.
You saw one of Hawthorne's problems right there. He switched the ball a few times at the wrong time and has coughed it up. He started to switch it back and forth, actually ended up carrying it with 2 hands on that play.
11th play of this drive at the 16-yard line. 3rd and 5. Bradshaw wide open. open is Swan. First down at the 8-yard line. Now Swan has his third catch. Bobby Bryant the closest defender, but Swan was wide open as they cleared out with Smith deep, and they also had a trailing back swinging into the left flat, and Swan in the middle of those other two Steelers was wide open.
Of course, that's the mismatch we talked about them trying to exploit. They got Swan into the area of Bobby Bryant. Swan doing a brilliant job of picking, and again, one of those third down pickups that we talked about earlier.
First and goal at the 8-yard line. Franco fumbles, picks it up, and goes to the 5-yard line. Hale Harris, just like a good shortstop, knocked it down, had it right at his feet, picked it up, and makes the play.
Some days the ball bounces for you. Not only did Harris get that ball back, I mean, it would have been a costly fumble back here, but watch it here. Somebody swats the ball. We'll keep an eye on it right there. There it is. Swatted the ball. Holloway swatted it. Harris just reached down, not only covered it, but scooted back into the line, made a gain out of that. I mean, at best, you feel like he's going to cover the football. No, he picks it up, makes a nice gain out of it.
Almost 4 yards, two tight ends. At 84, Randy Grossman on the wing right. Harris, touchdown! Franco Harris tying Leroy Kelly for the number 3 spot all time in the NFL in rushing touchdowns with that score. Number 74 for Franco.
Again, we talk about control on the line of scrimmage, and the Steelers are getting it established right here as they're able to push that defensive wall back, control people. Franco finding a little room and is well into the end zone before he finally gets hit by Matt Blair, number 59.
Matt Barr to try the point after, and hits this one. On that touchdown by Harris, Randy Grossman, who's been lauded by his coaches for his improved blocking through a key block. Here's Grossman, 84.
Randy Grossman, one of the smaller tight ends in football, but one of the smartest and most determined. Really a good job of making room for Franco on that play.
Actually, it got 2 of the Vikings. It's a 13-play drive, 75 yards, and the Steelers lead by 10. Burns came ahead 13-3. Down it comes to Payton on the 9, 10, 20, runs into his own blocker, 25, and he's to the 31-yard line. Recall Eddie Payton when he was playing with the Detroit Lions a few years ago against these Vikings. He returned not only a punt, but a kickoff for a touchdown in Pontiac. Next Sunday, NBC Sports NFL 80 continues. Hope you'll join host Brian Gumbel. Up-to-the-minute look at all the news, scores, and highlights, plus a special feature on violence in sports. That's all next Sunday, NFL 80. Check your local listings for the time in your area. Then, of course, follow NBC Sports coverage of NFL's 6th week of play. First down at the 32-yard line. Tucker in motion. Kramer gives to Ted Brown, and he's hauled down. Somebody got him right by the britches, and might well have been L.C. Greenwood. 68. Long arms of Greenwood. No gain.
That's exactly what he used to make the play. Just stretched those long arms out there and took a hold and wouldn't release him. L.C. Greenwood, of course, been around a long, long while. Does not have the great quickness or as great a quickness as he once had, but with those long arms and with his football savvy, still one of the fine ends in the NFL.
TLC also one of a half dozen players to wear glasses. Many others wear contacts, but 5 or 6 wear the actual glasses under the helmet. With sensor in motion, Kramer over the head of Sammy White, who drew double coverage from Wagner and Blunt. So Kramer is 2 for 8 for 42 yards, and Kramer now faces more of Minnesota. The veteran Wagner, who had 3 thefts last week, comes back with another today.
As we said, Tommy Kramer had his worst week last week. Out of the shotgun, goes back. He's getting pressure. Look at Joe Green, number 75, and he sees pressure also from the right side, Banaszak. He just threw that one into the crowd. He's got to learn that when he's getting that kind of pressure, if he has to unload the football, throw it over their heads or throw it out of bounds.
Now the Steelers with a 13-3 lead and 10 minutes left in the half.
America's not going to be pushed around anymore.
Check. Maybe
you better give her a call. You better give her a call. Franco Harris, first down carry, gets it to the Minnesota 39-yard line, where it'll be 2nd down and 6. Little House on the Prairie, of course, tomorrow night. And for the actors' strike about to be resolved, or is resolved, Merlin's going to have to wear the 2 hats the rest of the fall.
We've been watching Ted Peterson, number 66, down in the pits. He's replacing John Cobb, who's been injured. Gets a little piece of his man there, and a little fisticuffs going on there with Mr. Fred McNeil. Peterson obviously saying, no, you're not supposed to go over there. Your job's to stay back here and keep me company.
3rd and 6, a fumble, and it bounces right back into the hands of the Steeler ball carrier, Hawthorne. Now, you talked about Harris's lucky bounce before. This one really is a fortunate kickback. It's like a ping pong ball that flopped right back into Hawthorne's mitts.
If you examine the losses in recent years that the Pittsburgh Steelers have suffered, most of them can be traced directly to turnovers, Dick. And certainly their most recent loss to Cincinnati, a day on which they fumbled the ball repeatedly. Mike Wagner obviously happy for the last 3 weeks. I don't blame him for being happy.
3rd and 5. Bradshaw. Incomplete to Calvin Sweeney at the 19-yard line, and it took 3 Vikings to break it up. Hannon and Nate Wright, a 5th defensive back, were there.
Nate Wright, really the man who delivered that stripping movement to take the ball away from him.
St. Louis Cardinals, Merlin, 20-0 as they take the lead against New Orleans in the 2nd quarter. And it's Denver 6, Cleveland 3 in a game of field goals at Municipal Stadium, Cleveland. First punt by Craig Colquitt, with Eddie Payton, the solo safety, at the 11-yard line. Colquitt is averaging 41.6 a kick. Never had one blocked in the NFL. Payton going to take it. Spins away from 2 men, but not from Robin Cole. The Vikings stop the Steelers after the pass interception, but they'll begin deep in their own end at the 9-yard line, trailing 13-3.
For the last 3.5.
2nd quarter here at the Met in Bloomington, Minnesota. Dick Enberg and Merlin Olsen. The Pittsburgh Steelers, the Super Bowl champions, have a 13-3 lead over the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings on a 30-yard punt by Colquitt have the ball at their own 8-yard line. Sammy White in motion. Kramer tossing to Ted Brown. And Brown across the 10 and bumped out of bounds at the 12-yard line. Cole and Lambert, the Steeler linebackers, with a hit.
If you're wondering what that looks like from down at ground level and near the pits from the end zone, we had a chance to look at it that time. Give you a chance to see it at home. Put on your helmets. Let's go down field level now. Kramer, quick pitch to the outside. You see the block by Ricky Young right there, but quick pursuit by Joe Green, number 75. Actually, he's the man that stopped the play, even though number 56, Robin Cole, was the cleanup man.
Absolutely. Green at 33 still can move. 2nd and a long 7. And off to Brown. He's in trouble. And Mike Wagner, the safety, makes the tackle at the 4-yard line with Shell helping him out. Brown did quite well just to get back to the 4. Now let's go to Bryant Gumbel in New York.
Thank you, Dick. In Houston's Astrodome, the Seahawks have scored the first touchdown of that game. Jim Zorn up top, 22 yards. To Sam McCullum, point after good. The Seahawks have added a touch to their field goal. They lead 10-0 in the 2nd. Back to Bloomington. You got it, Dick.
Seattle Seahawks, Brian. We saw them last week as they beat the Redskins and shut them out in Washington. Who would have thought that was possible? Jack Patera's team may well be a factor again in 1980. 3rd down and 15. Kramer, Ricky Young. Vikings just trying to buy some yardage so that their kicker, Greg Coleman, will have some room in the end zone.
The Steelers trying to steal that football, too. Joe Green had a hammerlock on it, but they weren't going to cough it up. That last play very expensive for the Vikings, as Ted Green showing a little bit of inexperience, thinking he can reverse and go all the way across the field. This Pittsburgh Steelers team, not a good team to do that to. They have excellent team speed, and they always keep containment on the backside. He found that out a little too late.
Theo Bell wasn't supposed to play today, but Bell, despite an injury, is at the 50. Greg Coleman, number 8, the punt from Minnesota. From his own end zone. High, wobbly. Bell at the 49, the 45, and down at the 42. So the Steelers with excellent field position after the punt return of 9 yards by Theo Bell. Coleman's kick was 43 yards. Timeout. 5:45 left in the first half. 13-3 Pittsburgh.
America is not going to be pushed around anymore.
Here come the K car.
Let's put a touchdown on the board for the Browns. 40-yard strike to Reggie Rucker. The point after is good, and the Browns, in search of their 3rd straight win, are leading 10-6. Back to Bloomington and Dick Enberg.
Thank you, Bryant. It's the Steelers with the ball and the lead, 13-3. Ball at the 42-yard line in Minnesota. Greg Hawthorne cutting back against the green, fumbles. At the 32, I think the Steelers have it again. And if that'll be 3 out of 3 for Pittsburgh. Yep. That's Super Bowl good fortune right there.
And that's 3 times that the ball has been on the ground and Minnesota's had a shot at it, and all 3 times they've come up dry. Watch Hawthorne here. It's a little counter-action play. Franco up inside. Ray Penny, number 74, doing a good job of blocking. Watch the ball stripped away. Good defensive play. Rolls on the ground. Anybody's got a shot at it. 2 Steelers there to jump on the ball.
The Vikings have in their terminology the word catcher, the guy who picks up the fumbles, especially on a block kick. Now the Steelers have been the catchers in the first half today, 3 out of 3. First down, Hawthorne. Inside the 30 to the 29-yard line. Tom Hannon, 45. And he is assisted by 76 Dave Roller, the veteran from Kentucky.
Chuck Noll. Really an interesting man in that you'd never see much emotion on his face. And yet a very emotional man when it has to happen. These Steelers will tell you, I asked if he'd ever given pep talks. And they'd say, well, let's see. Oh, yeah, I remember a time. But, boy, when he gives one, look out.
The paint peels right off the wall.
Oh, yeah, look out.
Second down and 7. Rocky Blyer just into the game, and Fred McNeil, 54, makes the hit at the 25-yard line. So Blyer in for that specific purpose, a little swing pass. It's short of the first down. It'll bring up 3rd down and about 3. Let's pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
Mike Douglas salutes contemporary music all this week at 4 on Channel 11.
Just a bit more than 4 minutes left in the half. Pittsburgh driving for a possible extension of that lead. 13-3 Steelers. 3rd and 2. Harris. He's got the first down at the 20. Started wide, cut back inside. That play has worked consistently. John Turner, 27, made the tackle.
Franco Harris, one of the best backs in football at cutting back against the grain. He's actually better cutting to his right, in other words, going left and cutting right, than he is coming right and cutting left, but has tremendous vision and tremendous timing, able to take advantage of those blocks. He did it very well in that situation to pick up the first down.
7 times over 1,000 yards for Franco Harris. If he gets 1,000 this year, he'll be the only man in NFL history to do it. First down at the 19 in Minnesota. Harris again hit by Dave Roller, who shot through and made a good solid low tackle. They call him Rollerball, partially because of his build, 6'2" and 268.
And he is a dinosaur. He's been around a long time, still making good plays, and an emotional guy, the kind of guy you need on the field at times. Need to be pumped up. And one of the things that a good defense must have is some emotional leadership on the field. When things get tough, you need to be pumped up a little bit at times.
2nd and 9. Swan right, Smith to the left. Harris, Duck White, and Matt Blair with John Turner turning him inside. A gain of about a yard on the play.
We talked about Dave Roller playing from the inside. He was driving outside on that play. Must have had a stun on. one of the areas in which he suffers a little bit now is he's lost a little bit of that quickness. In fact, probably never was a very quick tackle, just effective.
Ball at the 18-yard line, actually inside the 18. Call it 3rd down and 8. 3 wide receivers for the Steelers. And whistle sounds. That's the official 2-minute warning timeout. 2 minutes left in the first half. We'll come back to a critical 3rd and 8 for Pittsburgh. Steelers in front, 13-3.
Sorry.
Black jacket at the 18 of Minnesota. Under a blitz. Incomplete. Accidental contact between Sweeney and Nate Wright as Bradshaw under a blitz. Matt Blair just didn't get it off.
Let's go down and see why the quarterbacks really do earn such a tough living. And it's not an easy living. Bradshaw with injured ribs, wearing the flak jacket, getting the blitz, knows he's going to get hit. And right there, you earn about a half a year's salary with every one of those. You can imagine how that would feel, even with the jacket on, as they crushed into the ground with those ribs.
Larry Bruin, 24, was also in on that blitz as they sent 2 defensive backs. Matt Barr, a 35-yard attempt. No good. Joe Sensor blocked the ball, but that was still a free ball, wasn't it?
Not a free ball when it's blocked on that side, Dick. But what did happen is that ball could have been downed, I think, on the 1-yard line. The man who touched it down actually touches his feet into the end zone. It'll go back to the 20. Watch the ball rolling here, heading toward the end zone. Now, as they swing into the end zone, right there, he picked up the ball. That's Beasley, number 65, but his feet went into the end zone. Let's watch the block here now, see who got it. They got it. One of the leapers obviously got it inside, but that's a big play. Something the Vikings have done so well over the years. Obviously, fans here would like to see Bud Grant's offense go for the long shot with 1:02, but Grant is going to play a little cautious here, I believe.
Hi, I'm Matt Blair of the Minnesota Vikings. I've become quite a camera buff in recent years. Let me show you some of the photos I've taken of my NFL buddies on a recent USO tour overseas. That's Joe Klecko of the New York Jets. Every year since 1966, NFL players on behalf of the USO have traveled to military hospitals and bases overseas. Our people in the service need to know that we care for them. I've made 2 of these tours myself, and I think they're really great. The United Way and the National Football League, through their annual tours and through their NFL charity foundations, strongly back the USO. The men and women in service are the real face of America overseas. Your support of the United Way and the USO makes it possible to care for people who might be forgotten otherwise. That's the way the United Way works, through its 37,000 agencies and services and programs. Thanks.
Unfinished business. It was Pittsburgh that called the timeout, not Minnesota. So the Steelers trying to stop Minnesota, get the ball back for a possible score in the final minute. The toss to Brown. 25 and out of bounds at the 26. So that stops the clock with 56 seconds left. Brown did not stay in bounds. Mel Blount wrote him out. And the Steelers doing all the right things.
Well, the Steelers doing the right things and Brown doing the wrong things. Should have gone down. You see the little bit of disgust there. Obviously, Coach wanted him to lay down before he got out of bounds. On that last play, on the blocked field goal, what we had told you was correct. Had that ball been down on the 1-yard line, it would have had to be put into play on the 1-yard line. The fact that Beasley touched it as his feet went into the end zone, they played it out as a touchback on the 20.
Theo Bell at the 35 as Coleman. It's a good kick. Bell, fair catch, 31-yard line. Good coverage by Fred McNeil, number 54, downfield quickly. So the Steelers, with 49 seconds left, plus 2 timeouts, have a chance to drive into the Minnesota end, leading 13-3 prior to the half. 43-yard kick by Coleman, the only black kicker in the National Football League.
One of the unusual things about this Steeler team is their ability to move the ball very long distances and consistently over long distances. And one of the other things that you have to like about them is that when they get ahead, they rarely pull in their horns. They may get slightly conservative, but they really are aggressive in the way they go after you. Even with 49 seconds on the clock, I think you'll see them going deep.
That's the way Bud Grant figures, because he's come in with his prevent defense, 6 defensive backs. Bradshaw, and you do have to admire the quarterback as a man. He plays hurt. There's that bulk around his waist. That's not good eating.
That's not girth.
That's a flak jacket to protect some injured ribs. Down the middle, Swan. Oh, he's so good on that pattern, and it's a first down at the Minnesota 45-yard line. Tom Hannon, 45. Minnesota made the tackle.
Bradshaw calling timeout. But it's really Bradshaw that makes that play in conjunction with his receivers, Dick. You saw him looking all over the field, reading the defense, spotting the open man, and finally delivering the ball on target. And let's give credit again to his offensive line, because if he didn't have time to do all those things, he obviously wouldn't be able to deliver that kind of pass. It really takes all three. Excellent protection, good read by the quarterback, receivers who are running their pattern, and then a good throw and a good catch. I mean, it's a complicated business, the passing game.
It's like turning a good double play in baseball. Everything has to be perfect. Swan now with 4 catches and 81 yards. Well, exciting football now with the NFL, but the big one in baseball is coming up on NBC. Prime time for the opener, 8 o'clock Eastern time, the 1980 World Series. Joe and Tony and company to bring you all the excitement of what has been already a great baseball year. And congratulations to the fans and players, the Philadelphia Phillies, who will be in the playoffs. I don't know yet whether it'll be Houston or Los Angeles that they meet. And of course it'll be Pittsburgh Steelers at the Minnesota 45 with 34 seconds left. Bradshaw. Open is Grossman at the 25-yard line, and Bradshaw just laid out a string to hit Grossman in the middle of that deep zone.
Bradshaw calling his last timeout. The ball well within the field goal range of Matt Barr now, and as we said, this Pittsburgh Steelers team will amaze you with their ability to move the ball over long distances in a rapid, very short period of time.
Well, the first play was from the Pittsburgh 31 to Swan to the Minnesota 45. Second play, he hits Grossman from the 45 down to the 25, another 20-yard gain. And you can't throw a ball any better than Bradshaw delivered that one.
And the interesting thing, perhaps, is the fact that that ball was just laid, as you said, as on a string. And when bodies get compressed in there, that's the only way you can throw that kind of pass. Cliff Stout, number 18, the backup quarterback in the huddle with Bradshaw, finally got a chance to get in the ball game last week. He must have been pumped. 4 years of backup quarterback, not a single play until this last week. Got in and got a chance to play. He's a fine young man and does some important work on the sideline. You see him there in the conference with Bradshaw, with Chuck Noll, Dick Hope, the coach, Raleigh Dotch, the line coach, all of them talking about what they would like to do in this situation, and perhaps more importantly, what the Vikings are likely to do. A good offensive team really is dictated to by the defense, because they know where the percentages are and they play the percentages.
Chuck Noll's team came into this quarter, Merlin, leading 6-3. They've scored the only points of the second quarter, 7, but they have totally dominated this 15-minute period. They have 9 first downs, Vikings 0 in the second quarter. At the 25-yard line, first down, 23 seconds left, no timeouts for Pittsburgh. Swan on a flanker screen to the 20. He can't get out of bounds. He's to the 11-yard line, and the Steelers hurriedly lining up. They want Bradshaw to at least throw an incomplete pass. Stop the clock. 8 seconds, 7 seconds, 6, 5. They're going to have to hurry. 3, 2. Will they make it? 1 second left. How can you cut it that thin?
The new rules make it possible for that ball to be snapped before the defensive team gets back in there. If the offensive team is all ready to go and the yard markers are in place, Bradshaw's only chance was to throw that pass. All their timeouts were gone. He got it done with 1 second on the clock. They'll get a chance now to kick that field goal.
And it will be a short attempt by Barr of 28 yards. Well, you saw championship form, and what an appropriate way to end the half. The Steelers showing you why they have been Super Bowl champions 4 times. That was a marvelous 2-minute drive. They did everything right, cut it right down to 1 second. Barr gets the extra 3 points, and the Steelers lead 16-3. We're at the intermission, Metropolitan Stadium in Bloomington, Minnesota. Pittsburgh at the end of the half has a 16-3 lead. Scored a 4-yard run, and Barr a 28-yard field goal with 1 second left. That's the story in Minnesota. Now to New York.
On this 5th Sunday of the NFL season, the Cleveland Browns are in search of their 3rd straight win and getting it against the Broncos. The Seahawks are surprising and shutting out the Oilers in Houston. Meanwhile, the Grits Blitz down in Atlanta is working very, very well against the Detroit Lions. We'll get to it all, the scores and the highlights of Sunday number 5, right after these messages from your local station. He got the offense working despite the fact that it's missing a primary receiver in John Stallworth. Calvin Sweeney has picked up part of the load, scoring there on a 25-yard scoring strike from Mr. Bradshaw. The point after was missed. It was 6-0 Steelers. Tommy Kramer has been beleaguered all day long. Steel curtain defense putting on a heavy rush. Kramer has had to use his legs as much as his arm this afternoon to try to get the Minnesota offense in gear, but there hasn't been much offensive firepower. Most of it has been coming off the arm of Bradshaw. Here completing one to perhaps his favorite receiver, Lynn Swann. Vikings had a field goal, and it was 6-3 when Franco Harris went over from 4 yards out to up the count to 13-3. A field goal as the half ended, upped it. It's now 16-3, world champions in front at the half. Down in Houston, the day's biggest surprise is taking place. The Seattle Seahawks in the Dome, shutting out the Houston Oilers 20-0. Remember, Seattle's coming off a shutout of the Washington Redskins just last week. How are things going for Seattle? Very well, thank you. This is Will Lewis. He's a rookie out of Millersville State, and he's also the man who made this punt return worth 50 yards to set up an early Seattle score. It was a field goal. But then Jim Zorn working with Sam McCollum on the outside. You like to see a receiver get behind a defender? Is that enough room for you? Touchdown number 5 of the year for McCollum. It made it 10-0. Identical play. No, this is not a replay. But it upped the count again to 17-0. Before a field goal made it 20-0. That's how it stands right now. The Seahawks pulling one very big surprise against the Love You Blue folks down in Houston land. Baltimore against Miami, a 2-2 club. The Colts going against the Miami Dolphins, who are 3-1. In the second quarter right now, nearing the half, that ball game is all tied at 10. Burt Jones staying healthy this season, and so the Colts have been playing like contenders in the AFC East. This is what Burt does best, zinging the ball on a line to Roger Carr right there, 25 yards. Point after was good. It was 7-0 Baltimore. Joe Washington, as usual, the staple of the Baltimore offense, but this time he lost the handle, and Bob Baumhauer came up with it to put the Miami offense in business. Bob Greasy completing a touchdown pass of 15 yards to Nick Giacinto. Score 10-10 in the second quarter. New England against the Jets. The Patriots have been looking fine. The Jets have been looking awful all year long. Nothing has changed. Patriots are out in front 14-6 at the half at Shea. Walt Michaels and crew still in search of victory number 1 on this season. And the Boo Birds are all over Richard Todd. It was Don Calhoun who got the Patriots on the board first, going over from 1 yard out, taking off left tackle behind the blocks of John Hanna. Point after was good, and New England was up 7-0. Richard Todd managed to get the Jets within a point, rolled out to his left, looked over the middle, and found Clark Gaines. He took it in, 17-yard scoring strike, but the point after was no good. It was 7-6. Gaines later injured after a 3-yard gain. He has been removed from the ball game, has not returned. Still waiting for a preliminary report on his condition. How bad has it been for the Jetsies? Pat Leahy lines up for a field goal. Instead, it's blocked. John Zamberlin knows he can't run, but Michael Haynes can. And so Haynes takes it all the way back for a touchdown. Patriots are out in front by a score of 14-6. Denver against Cleveland. The Cleveland Browns are in search of their 3rd straight win, but right now Denver is out in front by a score of 13-10. They've just taken that lead on a 95-yard interception return by Randy Bradshaw. We understand it's a fumble return. Brian Sipe has thrown a 40-yard touchdown pass to Reggie Rucker, his 9th touchdown pass of the year. Again, it's Denver 13, Cleveland 10. Detroit against Atlanta. The Grits Blitz is working down in Atlanta. The undefeated Tigers are in the midst of losing 31-3 in the second period. The Falcons have scored 2 defensive touchdowns. They've gotten another score from the special teams unit. The bubble has burst, at least on this Sunday, for the Detroit Lions. It's 31-3, Atlanta out in front. Washington against Philadelphia. Redskins coming off a shutout last week. They're trailing today 21-7 in the second period. St. Louis beating up on the winless Saints. It's 27-0 at the half. And Cincinnati against Green Bay. Ian Sunter's 2 field goals have the Bengals out in front by a score of 6-0.
The Steelers able to control most of what they were doing on the ground and able to get their own rushing game going. All through that first half, the Vikes unable to give Tommy Kramer the amount of time he desperately needed to get the passing attack in full gear.
Steelers will get the ball initially in this second half as Pittsburgh sets itself up for the return. There's Lynn Swann, 5 catches and 96 yards in the first half to spark the Steelers offense as they lead at 16-3. Swann, who credits his studying of ballet and of dance to being an outstanding receiver in this game. So many of the moves are quite alike. Having a little trouble with your mic, Merlin, so we'll try to get that corrected so we can hear what you have to say as Dan Meyer approaches the ball and sends it end over end. Pollard in the end zone, and he elects not to run it out. Touchback at the 20-yard line for Pittsburgh. Dan Meyer, good, healthy kick, and Pittsburgh starts at the 20. The Steelers were able to engineer 3 long drives to score 2 touchdowns, a missed extra point, and a field goal in that first half. Do we dare try out your microphone?
I you can dare me now, Dick. I think I'm all right now.
All righty. Bradshaw, good first half, 10 out of 15. Hitting on 56% for the year. And he gives the bread and butter man, Franco Harris. Purple gang ready for him after a gain of 3. 59 Blair, 77 Mullaney, 72 White, all in on the tackle.
Dick, one of the things we talked about in the first half, 3rd down conversions. And as you look down that list of statistics, you see that 6 of 8 for Pittsburgh, 75%, 3 of 8 for Minnesota, 38%. And really that's the tail of the tape, so to speak, because the Pittsburgh Steelers able to convert, able to keep those drives going. The Vikings unable to do so.
2nd and 7, and Bradshaw is sacked by James White. The whistle blew it dead. 72 White registers the first Minnesota sack of the day. That gets the crowd going.
Well, as an old defensive lineman, that's not a sack, that's a baggie.
That's a baggie.
That's
you didn't get him on the ground.
Yeah, well, just had so much time that there was no way you could protect him that long. Watch Bradshaw for yourself. Bradshaw gets it there, a long arm pump, has time to look down, and finally settles down in there, but you simply can't hang on to the football that long. I think Bradshaw knew he probably was going to get sacked.
See Mike Webster, that powerful all-pro center, protecting Bradshaw. It's now 3rd and 12. Harris at the 23, 25. He is stopped short of the first down at the 28 as Matt Blair, 59, was able to wrap him up. And so one of the few times today the Steelers don't convert on 3rd down, but Harris almost made it.
And a very important play for this Minnesota defense. You like to come out and set the tone for the second half with your first series defensively and offensively. And certainly if Minnesota has done that, as they would like to, they're going to play a better brand of football in this second half.
Craig Colquitt, who punted only once in the first half. He's only kicked 11 times all year. Eddie Payton at the other end. He's got some blockers, 29, 30, 35. And he's twisted down at the 38-yard line by Robin Cole, just as Payton had open sidelines to the left. He is slippery. 10 yards on the return after a 44-yard punt. 56 Cole made the hit, and the Vikings at the 38 will open their first series of the second half.
Dick, one of the changes in the game, so many teams are using what we call situation defenses, situation offenses. Not like it used to be where you had 11 offensive starters, 11 defensive starters, and other guys who played special teams. Now you've got people who are playing a few plays here, a few plays there. A lot of starters having to play on special teams. Robin Cole, one of those, doing a good job on that play.
Kramer from his 38. He was only 2 of 9 in the first half. And he throws that one away. I thought I saw a flag drop on the far sidelines. It may have been that the receiver went out of bounds. It might have been a hat.
I think what you saw might have been a towel. Certainly, if the receiver does go out, you'll see the towel. Let's go and look at Yeri blocking. 73. He had to be replaced for a while early in the first half. He's playing not only on an ankle that had been broken, but also on a foot that has a broken bone in it. He's got trouble with both legs, working on L.C. Greenwood, and he's got trouble there, too.
6 times an All-Pro, Yeri, the Outland Trophy winner at USC, 1967. Both wide receivers to the right. Kramer handing off to Ricky Young, who spins to the 41-yard line, where it'll be 3rd down and 7. Let's reintroduce that offense for Minnesota. Dennis Swilley at center. Brent Boyd is in the backfield now with Ted Brown on 3rd and 7. Kramer. Got some running room. I don't think he made the first down. It's going to be close at the 48-yard line. Hit from behind by Jack Lambert, 58. There was a little hesitation there. Kramer didn't know whether to run or pass, and by slowing down, Lambert was able to catch up. We'll see if he caught him before he got to the yardsticks.
Kramer able to do a good job of making a play out of a non-play, and all of the difference there probably in the way the ball was spotted. The officials putting it down, and now they're going to measure it, but he's not going to have it. About 4 to 6 inches short, and an interesting decision for Bud Grant on the sideline. Chuck Noll, I think, is assuming he'll go for it here.
I think down 16-3 he has to.
I think he has to, too, and he does. Maybe we're not so smart to be able to guess this one, Dick.
In his 14th year, Grant not known for his gambling techniques, but at midfield and trailing by 13 points, he needs to create some momentum. A first down here would do that.
We'll keep an eye on Bud Grant and see if he shows any emotion on this play.
Up the middle, Brown. Oh, is it going to be close? He was straightened, and I believe they marked it far enough. It appears the linesman has given him about a half a foot, and that's what he needed. It is going to be a delicate measure.
Obviously a big play for Grant. Let's go and look at him on the sideline. I guess that was Grant as he moved back and forth, but his expression changed very little. I mean, really, here it is. Now he's watching that play all the way. He's not moving a muscle.
Some say that Mount Rushmore has more expression than Bud Grant.
I will say one thing, Dick. I'll bet that inside of that man, inside of him, the things are really going on, and maybe someday he'll pay a price for not letting that emotion out onto the surface. I don't think it got it.
Is it close? The Steelers say no, and they're right again.
And what appeared to be a relatively safe gamble. You'd think you could pick up a matter of 4 or 6 inches against a very, very tough physical front line for Pittsburgh. And again, you talk about games being won or lost in the trenches. That particular gamble was lost on the line of scrimmage.
Steelers have the ball, leading 16-3. 12 minutes remaining in the 3rd quarter. Pittsburgh takes over on downs at the Minnesota 48-yard line. Quickly, other scores. These are halftime scores. Seattle 23, Houston nothing at the half. Well, that'll make the fans of the Steelers happy. It's Miami 17, Baltimore 10 at half. New England over the Jets 14-6 at the half. Bradshaw on first down. Almost intercepted. Bobby Bryant was waiting in the right spot, intended for Swan. Couldn't quite latch on to what would have been his 49th career interception.
Bobby Bryant using his experience here to read that play correctly. He comes off of his man and back into the area where Swan is. Swan never did see him, but it was the contact of Swan with Bryant, and you see the emotion. Swung his hand so hard, I think he hurt his wrist. Looked like he got a sore wrist.
Former left-handed pitcher at South Carolina. Going to hurt that wing. Other scores, Cleveland and Denver are tied at 13 at the half. And we got a big surprise coming up. The Detroit score. 2nd and 10. Up the middle, Rocky Blyer at the 42-yard line as he rumbles for 6. It'll be 3rd and 4. At the half, the unbeaten Lions are trailing Atlanta 34-6. Falcons 34, Lions 6 at the half. Philadelphia 21, Washington 7. That's a halftime score. And St. Louis leads New Orleans 30-0 early in the 3rd quarter. And that brings you right up to date. No, Green Bay 7, Cincinnati 6, end of the 1st quarter. 0-0 Another big third down for Bradshaw. Sends his backs in the pattern. Got away from Mullaney. 45, 40, and he ducks out of bounds at the 30 with a first down. Terry Bradshaw.
You really want to talk about mixed emotions. It's got to be what's happening to Bradshaw when he pulls out. He's got to be happy to pull out of that tackle. Now watch him. Pulls out of a tackle here. And again, his mobility saves the sack. Mullaney has a shot at him. Now, Bradshaw wants to throw the ball. Realizes, oh, no, I got to run this thing. He's got bad ribs now. Watch him now. Break to the sideline, pick up the extra yardage, wisely getting out of bounds.
That's a long run for Terry. In his younger days, he ran a lot, but this year he's carried 8 times for a -2 yards. So he doesn't like to lug it, and the Steelers don't want him to run it, but he gained 10 and a first down on that one. Blair burrowing to the 26-yard line. Matt Blair was still another tackle for the Minnesota Vikings. Blair, out of Iowa State, has been a great player for this Minnesota team, and one of the names that reminds you of their successes in the mid-70s.
Rocky Blair, another very familiar name. We're seeing a lot of him mainly because of the injury to Sidney Thornton. And we'll have Blair spotlighted a number of times because when he goes into that backfield, they usually find a way to use his special talents, either running the ball, blocking, or as a pass receiver.
2nd and 6 at the 27. Looking for Swan. Incomplete at the 13-yard line. That was Tom Hannon over to make the hit. Ball had passed Swan, so no penalty.
I believe it was Jim Smith, Dick, 86 and 88 blending together. An isolation on Smith as he goes down, driving Bobby Bryant off. The ball thrown a little too high. You see him go up and watch the blow from Hannon right there. Cut his legs right out from underneath him. Fortunate that his cleats were not planted on that particular play.
It did appear that Hannon tried to pull back when he realized the ball was by.
Well, difficult for him. His job requires him, he doesn't know whether the ball's going to be caught or not. He's got to make the contact, but obviously not trying to injure the receiver.
3rd and 6, and Harris on a trap. It doesn't work. He stopped at the 25, so 2 times here in the 3rd quarter, the Vikings have stopped Pittsburgh on 3rd down. And that means probably Barr to come in to try a long field goal. Yes, number 9 Barr will come in. This will be about a 43-yard attempt.
We'll try and keep an eye on what the Vikes call their leapers and their grubbers and their snatchers and their catchers. They really make a big thing out of blocking kicks. Bud Grant brought that with him from Canada. And I think over the years they've had more success than any team in football at blocking kicks and punts.
43 yards. It would be Barr's longest of the year. And there's some movement. Which way?
Well, I think it's got to be Pittsburgh. One of the things you try and do when you're getting trying to block a kick is you jump around down there and you try and get one of those linemen to lift his hand. That's what happened. It'll be a 5-yard mark off. I think he's out of range. They'll have to bring the punter in.
That's right. That's a crucial 5-yard penalty because it takes away the possibility of 3 points and brings in the punting team for an apparent punt.
And almost as good as blocking the kick.
So Bud Grant's defense has done it again against the field goal. They blocked one earlier in the game from 35 yards. It's interesting that Barr is only longest one he's kicked this year is 29 yards. Colquitt will just try to drop it around the 10-yard line.
Good kick. Good looking kick. Oh, there.
And it takes. He kept it in play. And did he stop it? Yes.
Yes, he
before
did.
It hit the goal line. What a coverage by the Steelers.
Mike Webster, the center. That ball now kicked high enough to hang and drop. And Webster down there alertly took off, jumped from inside the field of play. Watch it yourself. High kick. Ball coming down. Webster is going to go down, jump into the end zone, and without touching his feet, bat the ball back onto the field of play. And look who comes up with the football. The punter, Ray Colquitt.
Oh, have you ever seen that? Now, that is a mark again of the excellence of this Pittsburgh team. 9:21 left, 3rd quarter.
America's
all seeing that. First down play, Ricky Young gets out to about the 4. Another score, Marv Albert and Dave Rowe are in New York, and it's New England leading the Jets 21-6. That's been a trouble game for New England down through the years. They've often hammered the Jets up in Foxborough, but then at Shea, a different story. Not so far today in the third quarter, 21-6, New England.
Vikings just trying to give themselves a little room on that play. Kramer really having his difficulty. Is only 2 of 10 for 42 yards with an interception. He'd like to improve on those stats if he can in the second half.
He hasn't completed a pass to Ahmad Rashad on 2nd and 7. There's Rashad, complete at the 10. No. Did he have? Yes, it was complete. It looked as if he waved it no good, but it is allowed out at the 10-yard line. And there's Rashad, the most interesting athlete and one of the game's best. In fact, he's caught more passes the last 4 years than any receiver in the NFL. And he comes from an interesting high school background. In his high school backfield, he was then Bobby Moore in Tacoma, Washington. His running mate in high school was Ron Say, the Dodgers third baseman. How'd you like to have the Penguin blocking for you?
Penguin himself. I bet the Penguin was a good blocker.
I bet he was. They measure for the first down, and Minnesota makes it. With 8.5 minutes remaining in this third quarter, Minnesota gets a little farther away from that goalpost, 11-yard line.
Very often people are wondering why you would run on a first down situation in tight, and as I said, you've got to give yourself some room to operate. Second down play, you can afford then to go back and throw a pass, and if you miss that one, maybe even try another pass, but you need a little room, because if you get pinned there on a 4th down and have to kick with just a little bit of room, big chance for blocking the kick.
Rashad left, White to the right. Here comes Ted Brown. And the Steelers, with great lateral pursuit, Jack Lambert, Robin Cole fighting off the blocker, and Lambert traversing from his middle linebacker spot. Let's watch him in action.
We talk about pursuit, the importance of being able to pursue inside out. Jack Lambert, number 58, has excellent range. One of the smallest middle linebackers in football, but great speed and a great nose for the ball. Right down the line, playing the runner inside out, and that's important because he doesn't want him to cut back behind it. And then one of the deadliest tacklers in all of football.
One of his players at Pittsburgh, unnamed, said he's so mean he doesn't even like himself. Kramer on 2nd and 8. Takes the Tarkenton slide at the 15 in front of Jack Ham. It'll be 3rd and 6.
You know, that's one of the differences in the game today from when I broke in. At one time, we thought the quarterbacks were sissies if they took that slide. But then after you watched enough quarterbacks making their trips to the hospital, nothing sissy about that. That's a smart play. Quarterbacks are too important to their team to try and run over those defensive backs and linebackers, and they can't do anybody any good when they're laid up in the hospital.
3rd down and 6. Of all the quarterbacks that you chased, was there one that frustrated you more than the others?
I hated all of them. I think Tarkenton. I think chasing him here was one of the most frustrating experiences I ever had.
Doug Pascal from North Carolina is in, a rookie running back. To Rashad, intercepted by Shell, and Donnie Shell is pulled out of bounds at the 21-yard line. Shell leaping high as the pass went over Rashad's head, and Shell has his 4th interception. The 2 safeties for Pittsburgh have a combined total of 9 interceptions.
Let's watch Rashad. Now he's working on Mel Blount, and Blount, an excellent one-on-one coverage specialist, stays right with Rashad, and watch him here, back in. The ball will be tipped. It's tipped right there, alertly. Shell right there to pick it up and take it upfield. And watch the leveling blow right there on Tommy Kramer. And again, he's not getting the time to be able to deliver the passes he wants to deliver. Got to credit the Pittsburgh defensive line for that.
Rocky Blyer inside the 10. He's to the 8-yard line. 1st and goal for Pittsburgh. Fred McNeil made the tackle. Back at that interception, too, with that close-up. Merlin, you can appreciate Blount along with his speed, his size at 6'3". He's so tough to throw around. He got a hand up there. A lot of cornerbacks, or a lot of 5'10" cornerbacks in the league that don't touch that ball.
Donnie Shell certainly confident that Blount was going to cover his man, which he did very effectively. Look into Terry Bradshaw's eyes as he comes to the line.
Franco Harris down shy of the 5-yard line as he draws a crowd of purple. Tom Hannon up from the secondary to help out Scott Studwell and Fred McNeil. Harris has 1 touchdown today, his 74th rushing. in his NFL career to tie Leroy Kelly, number 3 all time. So he's trying to move Kelly down to 4. And this is his part of the real estate that he loves. Grossman and Cunningham, 2 tight ends. Swan to the right. Rocky Blyer to the 2-yard line. So Pittsburgh will have 2 cracks at it from 2 yards out. Hannon again. They really like him here. Tom Hannon from Michigan State, number 45, made the stop.
Rocky Blyer announced before the season that this would be his last year, and I can't think of any guy I'd rather see go out on his own terms than Rocky Blyer. Certainly has acquitted himself so well for these Steelers, and as you see in this particular drive, still a very capable and a very fine athlete and a money back. You talk about money players. Rocky Blyer is a money player.
3rd and goal at the 2. Bradshaw. Touchdown. Terry Bradshaw diving in under the tackle, and the Steelers have a touchdown from their quarterback. I'm not sure he was the one that wanted to keep it, but he saw the opening.
Well, I'm not so sure that if I'm Chuck Noll, I'm going to be very happy with that call. If I had a quarterback with bad ribs, I think one of the last calls I want him to make is that particular call, but I think you're right. He wanted to pitch it to Franco, and Franco looked to be out early, and Bradshaw just took it into his own hands and took it into the end zone. But what did Noel think? Well, he says, hey, that's a broken play. What? Well, I don't know which coach has the stoniest face, whether it's Noel or his counterpart, Bud Grant.
Well, it's Dr. Chuck Noll. He was awarded an honorary doctorate by Duquesne University. Well, the doctor sees 7 more go up, and the Pittsburgh Steelers lead Minnesota 23-3. 4.5 minutes left, 3rd quarter.
There's one team that plays for keeps. It's a big team.
Pittsburgh builds its lead to 20 points, 23-3, as Barr gets ready to kick it to little Eddie Payton, a 5'6" return specialist at the goal line for the Vikings. Barr is kicking into a breeze of about 10 to 15 miles an hour, and strong enough it blows it off the tee. Well, we have a couple other exciting games going on NBC. Miami and Baltimore in quite a tussle, and Denver and Cleveland. Should the Steelers continue to pile up the points, we might switch you to another game. All of you except those watching here in Minneapolis and in Pittsburgh. I want to alert you to that possibility. And over and short, Payton at the 15. And he's down at the 24-yard line. Lauren Taves, one of the tacklers for Pittsburgh, number 51. But they had it well covered. Thursday night, October 16th. That's a week from Thursday, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Games people play. See various shapes and sizes hit the drink in the World Cannonball Championships. Our old buddy Soupy Sales will take a look at custard pie throwing. Oh, my Uncle Toivo up in Virginia, Minnesota will be watching that. Something that he's no stranger to. Special look at the hottest thing on wheels. Skateboard fever will strike, plus the BMX bicycle jump. 18-year-old Jim Pratt attempts to jump a bicycle over 5 trucks. That's a week from Thursday on Games People Play. On first down, Kramer to throw. Lobs it out to Tucker, who gave a little push off on Robin Cole, who didn't like it a bit. Incomplete, no penalty. Let's pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
Abortion is the hot subject of controversy tonight at 6:30 on Channel 11.
Tommy Kramer having trouble buying a reception, and he now has a new center. 5-time All-Pro, former Dolphin Jim Langer, a Minnesota native, number 58. Langer is now the center for the Vikes.
Miami Dolphins finally deciding that Langer was serious. Said he wanted to play here. Did not want to play in Miami anymore. Wanted to raise his family here. And he's working his way into that Viking lineup.
On 2nd and 10, under pressure, dumps it off to Ricky Young. Flag is down, and I believe we're going to have a roughing penalty on 64. Steve Furness of Pittsburgh. He hit Kramer late.
They're really being tough on that roughness call now, protecting the quarterbacks as best they can. Furness on top of the quarterback early, but still has a responsibility to stay off of him, not to rough him as soon as that ball is thrown.
Boy, this is a Quinella day for the fans of the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're winning here 23-3, and in the 3rd quarter at Houston, score Seattle 26, Houston nothing.
We watched the Seattle Seahawks last week in a very big victory in their game against Washington.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, 64. Defense, it's a first down.
Furness Gildy, veteran out of Rhode Island, a 5th round pick in 72. Well, see that your tickets made it today.
Yes. Well, it's nice to have friends in Minnesota.
Is that from Sleepy Eye, or do you think?
No, that's one of my friends from Mankato.
All right. First down at the 38. Play action by Kramer down the middle, incomplete. Almost up for grabs for Donnie Shell. Ted Brown was the intended target.
Kramer's pass intended for Brown is incomplete.
We talked earlier, Dick, about the fact that the Vikings still will favor the pass against the run. But one of the things they have tried to do, they've tried to go from the very short flare passing game, the control passing game that Tarkington used so effectively, to a mid to long range passing game, which is much more effective today because of the rule changes, the bump changes, the 5-yard change on the defensive backs, and also the amount of hand contact allowed to the offensive linemen. They have not been as successful in making that change as they would like to have been.
Kramer, 3 out of 13, back to throw again. It's 2nd and 10, complete at the 50-yard line, and that'll be a first down for Minnesota as Rashad up to cradle that reception. His 2nd of the game, his 20th of the year. He leads the Vikings. 11 yards on the play.
One of the things, Dick, that the Vikings obviously would like to do, they'd like to strengthen themselves at guard. And if they can get Langer into the lineup, they possibly will move Dennis Swilley, who's a fine football player, originally drafted as a guard. He might well go back to one of those guard positions. And, of course, Huff, who was a starting guard, and they feel a real comer, will be back pretty soon, they hope, off the injured reserve list.
Rashad to the left, White to the right. Kramer looking for Rashad, complete at the 32-yard line. So Rashad back-to-back catches as Kramer has his passing game cooking at the moment.
Well, we talked earlier about Tommy's streaking, so to speak. He seems to run in streaks. If you give him time to throw the football, let him get his timing, he really is an effective passer. But when he is rushed, when the pressure is on him, and again, I think it's a function of his experience level as a quarterback, he tends often to throw the bad pass or to throw a pass he should not throw. He's had time here on this drive. He has hit his receivers, and they've moved the ball effectively.
And Kramer has it first down at the 32. 2.5 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Vikings trailing 23-3. Joe Sensor in a crowd, able to take that one away from Lambert and Ham, and that alone is saying something when you can grab one away from those two ball hawks. Sensor with his first catch. You know, when he was in college at Westchester State, Joe Sensor, 81 of Minnesota, actually broke Lou Alcindor's field goal percentage record when Alcindor was at UCLA, Jabbar now. 69.9% he shot as a 6'4 center.
They do really have high hopes for him. I'm very impressed with his physical ability and his concentration, and he definitely is one to keep an eye on for the future.
2nd and 3 at the 25. Incomplete as Tucker and Terry LeCount ran a crossing pattern, and they did pick off one of the Steeler defenders, but Donnie Shell on a blitz was forcing Kramer to unload.
Just looking down that Steeler lineup, 67 is playing at a defensive end. That's Beasley playing outside, or not Beasley, but Dunn playing outside. He and Furness usually flip-flop at that right tackle position. He's playing on the outside now for John Banaszak, who has a hamstring problem and is on the sideline. We probably won't see him anymore today. So we have someone in an unfamiliar position.
3rd down and 3. You see the Steelers, their usual expertise at converting, and the Vikings in need of a 3rd down. Ted Brown trying to nose his way to that 22-yard line is going to be close. L.C. Greenwood spearheading the defensive charge as Langer and Hamilton.
And we got a penalty down in there. I don't know what it is, but it was thrown late after the call. Somebody obviously getting a little extra work down there.
Usually that's against the defense when you see a penalty that late, but let's wait for the official, Cal Lepore, the referee, to tell us.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And Ted Brown is the man that appears to be injured on the play. Brown in his 2nd year with the Vikes. Great player at North Carolina State. lucky to be with the Vikings today. He was lighting a furnace this week as the weather turned cold here in the Twin City area, and it blew up in his face, actually singed his face and his arm. Not serious burns, but scared the daylights out of him.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, 64 defense, first down.
So Furness picks up 2 personal fouls in this series of downs. And it's a first down, Minnesota at the 12 of Pittsburgh, as Doug Pascal, 6'1 1/2", 219-pound back from North Carolina, 5th-round draft pick, replaces Brown. LeCount to the left, Rashad to the right, Sensor in motion. Sensor at the 8-yard line. Mel Blunt, number 47, the All-Pro corner, and Robin Cole to make the tackle.
George Perlis, the defensive coach for the Steelers. Here's the replay of that last play. As you see, quick pass by Kramer out to the outside. Sensor doing a good job of positioning for it and then fighting for the extra yardage. Mel Blunt, 47, the man who got him first. There's Perlis, the man right in the middle of your screen, the heavyset coach. He's the man that calls the defenses for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well, he's a quality candidate for a head coaching job. Terrific person and an outstanding football mind. Long pass open. Sensor. Did he catch the ball or is it intercepted? Pittsburgh. Jack Ham, 59, came down with it. Oh, my.
That's twice in the last 2 weeks that Tommy Kramer has thrown long passes across the end zone, and twice he's been intercepted in this kind of situation. Did it last week. Watch him here. Tries to throw off his back foot, and the ball skies on him. Goes straight up. It's tipped right there by Donnie Shell, and it's 59 Ham. Again, the alertness of that secondary as he comes through to pick it up. Watch it here. The ball comes out of his hand and hangs up there. Batted, caught, intercepted.
Ham's 29th career interception. He's second all-time in linebackers to Don Shinnick, who finished with 37. Pittsburgh has the ball again.
JCPenney's incomparable MCS Series 45-watt receiver and 3-way linear phase speakers. One sound will tell you all you need to know about their specs. One look will show you what a great buy they are at $749.85. But look again. Right now, these incredible components are on sale as a package for an unbelievable $499. JCPenney's MCS Series 45-watt receiver and linear phase speaker sale. The value is crystal clear.
The Viking sidelines. Their scoring drive thwarted by the pass interception. Denny Cunningham is the new tight end for the Steelers. Ball at the 2-yard line. Up the middle goes Franco. A yard or two. Matt Blair, still another tackle, along with Ken Sanders, 89, from Howard Payne. Played with the Lions for many years.
A lot of banging going on down there in the pits, Dick. It's a very physical game on the field, and sometimes people think, well, you know, when you're losing, it's the game is not as physical. I think it becomes even more physical for a losing team because you tend to try a little harder, often get yourself in trouble.
2nd and 8 might be the last play of the quarter. That's Swan with his 6th catch and a first down at the 15-yard line. John Turner, 27, the cornerback, made the tackle. Clock ticks down, 5-4. 6 catch for Swan, 107 yards. The gun sounds. The end of the 3rd period at the Met in Bloomington, Minnesota. Pittsburgh in command, 23-3, leading the Vikings. Today in Minnesota as the Steelers have a 23-3 lead. Steelers ball first down at the 15-yard line. Open the 4th quarter. Bradshaw to Harris. 20, 25, 30. As Harris rumbles for 15 yards. Curtin off, 25. Chopped him down. Great block by Steve Corson, number 77.
Well, the reason that we mentioned, as you mentioned earlier, that statistic, your leading tackler as a safety, is a bad one because most of his tackles will be made, as this one is, well down the field. And it looks like Franco has enough room to take a house through as he gets outside. And there it is, number 25, Kurtnoff coming over, diving into his legs. But as we said, that's an unhappy statistic for a defensive team.
15 yards for Harris. He's really getting it into high gear. Bradshaw, great protection. Wide open, incomplete. One of the few misfires by Bradshaw as he tried to hit Smith out at the 50-yard line. His pass skipped a little low. Watching Bradshaw warm up yesterday out at a junior college practice field, Merlin, I was just amazed. He and third-string quarterback Malone were playing catch from about 40 yards, and he could literally call almost like a pitcher. Say, what? And that, we're talking about 120 feet, not 60 feet. I'm going to throw this one high in the letters. I'm going to throw this one at the knees, and he would do it. He could literally throw it in a teacup.
He has masterful control of the football, and no question about it, and he uses that. And this is perhaps a bad time to call that because he just threw a bad pass, but he also does that occasionally, and I can't understand that.
Only in that he's human.
Yeah, maybe so.
2nd and 10 at the 30. Flyer, fumble, free ball. And the Vikings have finally recovered one at the 20-yard line. And you saw something else you won't see in another game. Bradshaw didn't dive for it. He figured there were too many purple shirts there, and with a 23-3 lead, why get yourself maimed?
Randy Holloway, number 75, the man that got on that fumble. The ball has been on the ground 4 times in this game, and fumbles, that's the first one the Vikes have gotten their hands on. That's a big turnover. They've got a chance now from the 21-yard line. They need a touchdown. They need to take this turnover and turn it into 7 points.
Meanwhile, in the third quarter in Atlanta, the Falcons lead Detroit 36-6 as you look at Joe Green, his ankle wrapped in ice. 21-yard line. Brown and Young behind Kramer. Over the middle. Sammy White. It's going to be a touchdown. Sammy White's second touchdown, and he made the play. Wrestled it away from the defender and sprinted in.
Kramer has time to get the ball off. Gets it into Sammy White, but you're exactly right, Dick. He fought for that football, and then coming down had room to make the play. Fakes Lambert into the ground and drives into that end zone. And as we said, they needed the big play. They needed the points. They got some of them right there. They need another one here. That missed extra point might yet become a factor in this game.
Try by Dan Meyer. One of the few orthodox kickers left in the NFL, but Bud Grant, because of the icy conditions in half the year in this part of the country, doesn't like the soccer stylers. He wants that guy that doesn't require so much footing to deliver a good kick. So, the fumble, 1 play, 7 points. The Vikings are back.
Dial it as national sports news. It's new, it's rational just to call National Sports for all the latest reports. We're talking national sports news. We've got it all. 9-0-0.
For Kramer to hit Sammy White over the middle. And the first touchdown of the game for Minnesota, 23-10. The Vikings trail as Dan Meyer kicks it off. Pollard deep. Onside. And it takes a Minnesota bounce. And the Vikings have it at the 36-yard line, although it'll be marked back at the 48, where it was covered by Terry LeCount. Boy, you couldn't have dropped that one any more perfectly into LeCount's arms.
You practice that kind of kick week after week, and as a kicker, you'd like to see it take that little hop at the end, jump right over the end man on the line for the Steelers. But the reason the ball comes back, you're not allowed to advance that. You can gain possession of it, not allowed to advance it. Watch the ball. Watch the final hop. Jump right over the offensive man, right into the arms of the streaking LeCount. And the Vikes have another big turnover. And again, if they can quickly capitalize as they did the last time, they're right back into this ball game.
That missed extra point means that 2 touchdowns and 2 extra points will give the Vikings the lead. Just under 14 minutes left, fourth quarter. Kramer, play action. Incomplete. Ted Brown is running back at the 50-yard line. Denver at Cleveland. Don Cockcroft has just kicked a 40-yard field goal to tie that game at 16. There have been 3 field goals on both sides in that one.
That Steeler front 4 are revamped. You saw the ice on Joe Green's ankle, and we told you earlier that Banasak had the hamstring. 2 of those 4 are out of the game. They now have Greenwood, Beasley, Furness, and done playing in that starting defensive line.
Ball at the 49 of Pittsburgh. 2nd and 10. Kramer, 8 of 22. With Brown in motion, Kramer throws back the other way to Young. 50, 45, 44. And what a good play by Robin Cole. Had he not contained Young, Ricky Young would have had another 20 yards down the sidelines.
Well, that's testimony to the weight training program, believe me, and that they go through in Pittsburgh. It's almost a very bad play by Cole. Cole is coming. He doesn't come to balance. Watch him. He literally almost goes by, just gets a hand on the jersey, but is so strong that he actually pulls that man down with one hand. Actually, the fingers of one hand. Rather remarkable play.
Maybe those jerseys are made a bit too well for the Vikings. It is 3rd and 5. 13 minutes left out of the shotgun. Kramer, open. Rashad. He's to the 31, a first down, and the Viking fans are starting to believe.
Two things have happened. Langer's insertion into the lineup apparently giving a little more coordination to the offensive line. 2 Steeler defensive linemen out. On that particular play, Blunt fell to the ground, giving Rashad plenty of room. But whatever the reason, the Vikings have their offense moving. They have time to throw the football, and they're taking advantage of it. But they desperately need to finish this drive with 7 points.
First down at the Pittsburgh 31. Kramer going deep down the middle. Sammy White to the 7-yard line. First and goal, Minnesota. On the play.
Chance to watch again. Little play action fake there to Ricky Young. Look at the amount of time that he has, and a wide open Sammy White taking advantage of that Pittsburgh secondary, and that does not happen too often. Wide open in the secondary, the ball inside the 7-yard line, and again, critical that they finish this drive with a touchdown.
First and goal. This drive started with the onside kick. Out of the eye for the first time. It's Brown outside to the 4-yard line. Just to the 4 as Cole and Wagner closed in on him. Ricky Young, 34, who's done some excellent blocking all day, threw a key block in support of Brown. Chuck Noll, former linebacker with the Browns out of the University of Dayton. In those years, they had a lot of rounds. I think he was picked in about the 21st, 24th round. A fine player. Bud Grant. You can't tell who's winning and losing by those faces.
No, you can't. But again, I'd like to get in and examine the stomach acid in those two guys. I mean, it's got to be something there.
You'd hate to X-ray them, wouldn't you?
Oh, wow. Must be tired down there.
Second and goal. 3 wide receivers in for Minnesota. LeCount to the right, Rashad and White to the left, and a time is called by Minnesota. Apparently, Kramer saw something. Or was it Pittsburgh? Pittsburgh. It was the Steelers who called time. Jack Lambert saw something he didn't like, and he used the timeout. So 11 minutes and 22 seconds remaining in this game. Minnesota finding life on a fumble recovery and a successful onside kick. They're 4 yards away from closing the gap to 6.
Announcing the Zenith Bond Bonanza. Over $1 million worth of U.S. savings bonds free with 38 different Zenith System 3 TV sets and all Zenith video recorders. You get a 50.
Go, they yell. Second and goal at the 4-yard line. Minnesota trailing 23-10 to Pittsburgh. No one behind Kramer now. Quarterback draw. Touchdown. A play we saw last week when Jim Zorn scored on a quarterback draw. Minnesota uses it, and oh my, have they come back in a hurry.
Excellent call. Shifting through the linebackers outside. Good blocking on the inside. The hole opened up. 64 Furness across to try and make the stab. John Vella, 71, an excellent block. And a quick look at it. Again, as we said, 2 Pittsburgh Steelers defensive linemen out of there. The coordination not good. But I don't think it mattered on that play, Dick.
Dan Meyer cuts them in half, and the Vikings are down by only 6. So in a matter of less than 4 minutes, Minnesota recovers a fumble, scores on the first play, a successful onside kick, and a 49-yard drive, and the Steeler lead is whittled to 6. To the 18, bobbled for a moment by Mel Blunt, and Blunt returns to the 27-yard line. Randy Holloway made the tackle. Quickly, let's duck in some other scores. The Jets have kicked a field goal to cut New England's lead to 21-9 fourth quarter. It's fourth quarter, St. Louis 33, New Orleans 7. Fourth quarter, Baltimore on a Burt Jones to Roger Carr pass breaks the 17 tie at Miami. Baltimore 24, Miami 17.
Minnesota in a 3-4 defense, Dick. They expect Bradshaw to come out throwing the football.
He gives it off to Blyer, and he stopped at the 20-yard line. And this crowd is fired up, and so are the Vikings.
You see Matt Blair giving somebody a fast 5. Randy Holloway also in on the play. Actually, the Vikes have done very well against the running game with this 3-4. And, of course, they're taking advantage of personnel. They'd like to get their linebackers in there, but Jeff Seaman in particular. And as we said, they have not gotten the development out of some of their defensive linemen that they had hoped to get at this stage.
Second down and 7 for Pittsburgh at its 30. Harris at the 34. Fred McNeil, Scott Studwell, and Tom Hannon greet him. It'll be 3rd and 2. And the character of the Steelers being tested once again. It appeared that they were on their way to a relative easy win with a 23-3 lead, but that one turnover and how the one break, the one fumble recovery, the one interception can turn a game around. And here's another example today.
But I think something else becomes obvious here, and that is that you're dealing with a very confident champion. And the Steelers do not lose their cool over this kind of thing. They're going to stay with it. That's not to say they can't lose this game, because it's certainly a possibility right now.
On 3rd and 2, Grossman with a first down at the 41, and Bradshaw with a lot of heat defensively just fired a strike. I believe I might have even been able to catch that one. You almost had in self-defense. He laid it right in the midst of Grossman.
Randy Grossman has not been a big target so far this season, but certainly big here. And as you said, that ball perfectly thrown. Grossman wide open. That's the kind of pass, that's a control pass. And again, a very sure and a very reliable pass for this Pittsburgh offense.
First down at the 41-yard line. Pittsburgh leads 23-17. Bradshaw, a lot of time. Caught by Smith, and he's down at the 25-yard line. That ball looked to be a chance for an interception, but the Viking was late getting there, and it was Jim Smith all the way to the Minnesota 25, a 34-yard play.
That ball actually thrown into double coverage. Hannon over there and Turner over there. Watch the pass. I think Turner just misjudged the ball. Jim Smith just stepped in front of him there. It should have been an interception, Dick, but Smith showing his skill as a receiver. And look at the disappointment on number 27, John Turner's face. He knows he should have had that one.
That was Smith's first catch today, former All-American at Michigan. Flanker screen to Smith. And McNeil and Studwell have him at the 20-yard line. At Atlanta, Detroit has scored. Gary Danielson to Freddie Scott, a 42-yard pass, but Atlanta leads the unbeaten Lions 36-13. Fourth quarter. Here it's 23-17 Pittsburgh.
And how do you cool down a team that's hot? Well, you put some points on the board yourself, and that's Bradshaw's idea totally. He wants to come right back and stuff it down the Vikes' throat if he can. He hasn't done it yet, and these last 20 yards are far and away the toughest on the field.
Second down and 6 for Bradshaw. Down the middle. Incomplete. Now that was an excellent call. Smith had the ball in midair, but was hit before he came down with it. The ball popped free, and Smith is injured on the play.
You want to get a feeling for the intensity of the action on the field at this moment. Watch this pass. A lot of time for Bradshaw to throw. Throws the high strike. Ball caught right there, but a violent collision. Let's go down and get in on the action again. An even tighter shot. Put on your helmet.
It's Swan, not Smith. Excuse me, Merlin.
It's Swan who's up. Smith in the same territory, but it's Swan with one of his patented leaps into the air. But look at that shot coming across by Kurt Knopf. Swan diving for that football is actually hurt, I think, when he tried to pick it up the second time.
He had the ball in midair, but you must come down in with possession of the ball, and he just didn't get his feet down in time as he took a terrific pop. Let's hope he's not seriously hurt. He seemed to be well enough to go back after the ball. You see Bradshaw, an anxious spectator, as he looks over his fallen comrade.
But you've got to believe that that reaction to the ball, Swan actually thought that he had possession of it here. Now, when that ball popped loose, that's instinct right there. He doesn't know how bad he's hurt. Ooh, there's a knee right there. That's how he hurt his ribs. An accidental knee, but nevertheless, I believe that's 49 Nord, whose knee came across his back there. He might have a rib problem. With two guys already nursing sore ribs, Theo Bell and Bradshaw, they may have to order up another flak jacket.
Swan being attended to. Chuck Knoll already has gone outside the 45-man roster to sign Calvin Sweeney, and he is showing some anxious expression on the sideline. We'll be right back.
This is Bryant Gumbel in New York. In Miami's Orange Bowl, the Colts have taken the lead against the Dolphins. Bert Jones to Roger Carr's second time that combination has worked for a score. Colts run in front, 24-17. Back to Dick Enberg.
Power as he took that vicious tackle, going for a touchdown for the Steelers. We'll see if he can return. But it's good to see him walk off under his own power. 21-yard line. 3rd and 6 for Pittsburgh. They lead by 6 points, 23-17. Oops, 76 Dave Roller says, my man moved. He's pointing at Mike Webster and at 74 Ray Penny. Let's see if that's the case.
And they're going to give it to the Vikes. Mark off the 5 against the Steelers.
I'll remember a similar call in this field. Alan Page when the Rams had a 1st and goal on the 1-yard line.
Full start. Offense.
Tom Mack says, that's 10 years ago and I still haven't moved.
Well, you get a chance to see it quickly here in replay. Watch the man just at the right corner, right there. And where am I? Well, one thing, if that defensive man moves, the offensive man cannot lift his hand unless there's contact made, and obviously not contact made before.
Offense, 3rd down.
Well, Roller not only had the quickness to get in there, but the speed of mind to point at the culprit. It's 3rd and 11 at the 26. The one thing in favor of the Steelers in this 4th quarter, and we should point it out now, the wind has picked up as this game has progressed, and there's not much to stop it going right to left. So the Steelers will benefit kicking and passing with the wind. It's blowing directly at their back. Now the flag not whipping quite as it did even a couple of minutes ago, but the intensity of the wind has increased.
And there's no question that that is a factor in this stadium, as you said, for the kicking, but down on the field, you feel that wind much more in a stadium of this kind. There's nothing to keep it out.
7.5 minutes remain. 3rd and 11. Bradshaw intercepted. Kurt Knopf to the 30-yard line. Knopf has given the Vikings the ball, and here comes the Purple Gang.
This play reminiscent of one you've seen many times from Paul Krause, who's now departed. Knopf hanging, reading the pass perfectly, stepping in front of the receiver and heading upfield with it. Grossman coming out of nowhere to level him, but not until he turned the ball around and pointed it the other direction. Tommy Kramer and his gang have another shot at it, and if they can pick up the touchdown, they go ahead.
It's the first time Bradshaw has been intercepted today. First down Minnesota at the 30. 7.5 minutes remaining. They've already scored 2 touchdowns in this fourth quarter. And it looked as if there was movement against Minnesota. Well,
right side of that Minnesota line, John Vella, number 71. As we said,
false start offense.
Yeri is in and out of that lineup because of the ankle and foot problems he has, and Vella has not worked as much in there as you would like a man to work before you stick him in. A lot of injuries on both sides of the line of scrimmage, and certainly secondary people very important in this game.
Merlin, we want to apologize. Our graphics are not working at the moment. But
false start, moving before the snap. 61, offense, first down.
All right, the penalty against Wes Hamilton as you look at Knopf, who intercepted his first pass of the year, former Dolphin. Other scores, Philadelphia 24, Washington 14. That's in the fourth quarter. Ricky Platt has just scored for the Redskins. St. Louis now leads New Orleans 40-7. And it's Atlanta 43, Detroit 13 in the fourth quarter. Here it's 23-17. Pittsburgh leads. Kramer dumps it off in the flat. And Ricky Young is greeted by Robin Cole. Cole, a first-round pick from the University of New Mexico. Helped out by Jack Hand. Let's go right from the top. Other scores to bring you up to date. Seattle, big surprise. You know, Seattle shut out Washington last week on the road 2 weeks in a row. They've not allowed a touchdown. A big upset there. Baltimore ahead by a touchdown against Miami fourth quarter. New England beating the Jets 21-9 fourth quarter. Denver and Cleveland tied at 16 in the fourth quarter. Second and 11 for Kramer. Dumps it off to Young again. And down goes Young at the 35, and a flag is down.
That usually indicates holding, yep. No, personal foul, roughing the passer against the Steelers. And that's going to be a tough penalty. Would have been a third and about 5. Going to bring him a first down.
That is the third roughness penalty against the Steelers in this quarter. And now we get some expression from Chuck Noll.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, 67 defense, first down, 6.
Gary Dunn, Miami of Florida. His grandfather was the president of that university from 1926 to 1952. Chuck Noll, quizzical expression. Hey, what's happening? It was 23-3 just a few minutes ago, Pittsburgh. And now the Vikings are on a hot roll, have a first down at the Steeler 48. Kramer. Complete to Bob Tucker, hit immediately by Mel Blount at the 45. Maybe we can make it the 44. It's a gain of 4. Baltimore's just scored again, and they lead at Miami 30-17 as the extra point was blocked. And I guess Miami's going to have to call on another one of their patented fourth quarter rallies. There's 7.5 minutes left in that game. Baltimore 30, Miami 17.
Haven't they won the last 2 weeks in the
3 weeks?
Fourth, 3 weeks in a row coming back.
Our fans watching this telecast down in Miami. Dolphins off to a 3-1 start. Second down, 6. Kramer rolling away from pressure. Intercepted by Lambert. Lambert right there, and Kramer trying to hit Joe Sensor, threw it right in the arms of the middle backer of the Steelers. So Pittsburgh stops the Minnesota momentum with 5:50 left.
Kramer under pressure the last 2 times, got the ball off safely. But as we said, when his rhythm gets off, when you get the pressure on him, he'll make some passes when he shouldn't throw the football, and that's exactly what happened in this situation. Here's a chance for you to look at it. Kramer running to the outside. Actually has quite a bit of the time, but he is getting pressured. Right here from the linebacker coming up. Lofted one out, and that's, again, the kind of pass you just cannot afford to hang. 58, Lambert there to take it out of bounds. That's a big play for the Steeler defense.
Roll over the Saints. It had to be an unhappy day in the Superdome. Here's that interception by Lambert. 58, middle of your picture. Watch his movement. Well, we'll see it after this play. Because Lambert had to go a long way to get the ball, even though it was not a well-thrown pass. Rocky Blyer jumped hard at at the 38. Let's go back to the play and watch Lambert, because he takes a key. He starts going the other way. See, Lambert's headed the other way as Kramer rolled right, and yet Lambert still was able to come quickly cross field and make the interception. That's a hustle play.
As you saw him take that look, he was looking for the tight end, Dick. He saw the tight end coming. He turned with him, ran across the field, and again proved his expertise and his value to this Pittsburgh defense.
Dracula and Cleats has done it again. 5:15 left. 2nd and 8. Harris, big hole. First down, 50. He's all the way to the 46-yard line before Fred McNeil can track him down.
Big hole in there. Duck White, number 72, had a piece of him. And they say that often you can measure the value of a back, not in the yardage he makes from the line of scrimmage, but the yardage he makes after contact. Watch Franco here. Just run through those arm tackles, getting downfield, then cutting back against the grain. That's a big play.
17 yards, and Harris is over the 100-yard mark. 102 yards, first time this year. He's hit the century. Blitz on, and Harris gets outside. But not quickly enough. Randy Holloway from the backside able to give him a crack the whip tackle. 2nd and 11. Time ticking away. 3:45 left. Rocky Blyer down at the 45. Matt Blair again along with Ken Sanders. And it'll be 3rd down and 9. Could be as important a play as we've had in this game, as they are helping Lynn Swan, or actually he's walking off the field under his own power, down by the Minnesota or the Pittsburgh dugout area, the third base dugout. He's being taken back into the clubhouse, so Swan obviously will not play anymore today.
Well, he has a rib injury and was not expected to go back onto the field. They may be taking him in for x-rays to see how bad the damage is.
3rd and 9 at the 45 of Minnesota. 3 minutes left. Bradshaw gets away, and there's Grossman with a first down at the 23-yard line. Randy Grossman. Larry Bruin on the coverage, but the key again was Bradshaw able to step up into the pocket and get himself some more time.
The thing that Bradshaw does, and you watch great quarterbacks, they all do it. They have the ability to concentrate totally on those receivers and yet to see the gaps in the rush by the offensive lineman or by the defensive lineman. That particular play, not only did he have to step forward, but he had to sidestep. And he did it without ever losing track of his receivers. That takes great concentration and great levels of thinking.
Bradshaw, the touchdown pass as well. Harris slipping as he made his cut. And down there quickly by James White. That'll send the clock down to the 2-minute signal unless Minnesota calls a time before the 2-minute mark. I believe Minnesota's going to call time first.
They have called
the Steelers to make a play before the 2-minute warning.
Well, certainly the clock becomes the great enemy for the Vikings now. And obviously the Steelers would be happy if they could grind out that last 2 minutes. The Vikes will use their other 2 timeouts if they have to, but as it gets down to this time, you have to play both. You play the field and you play the clock.
Franco Harris taking a little time to tighten up the laces and get back in the huddle. The pass preceding that play was 22 yards to Grossman, and the Detroit Lions are growling in Atlanta, trailing 43-13. The Lions have scored twice in a minute and a half. Gary Danielson to Leonard Thompson, 79 yards. And then Danielson right back to Fred Scott. Extra point was missed, so Atlanta's lead is cut 43-26. Atlanta leads. So, 2nd down and 9 with 2:06 left. Smith to the left, Sweeney to the right. Bradshaw, great protection. Incomplete. Intended for Sweeney. Covered by John Turner. And again, Bradshaw got the ball there as Sweeney came back to meet it. And there's the 2-minute warning. Exactly at 2 minutes. A timeout here in Bloomington, Minnesota. Well, a 14-point fourth quarter by the Vikings, putting pressure on the Steelers, who still lead it 23-17. Vikings have 2 timeouts left. Big play. Bradshaw again gets away from pressure into the end zone. Smith had fallen, or it would have been a touchdown. Jim Smith slipped on the third base coaching area, which is a carpeted area, not a sod area, went down, and by the time he got up, no touchdown.
Watch Smith going into the end zone. This is one of the dangers of this field. There is a strip of carpet there. Watch him plant. Actually slipped before he got to the carpet. As we said, that's an area that's been resodded. His feet went out from underneath him, unable to control the football. They're going to have to try for the three-pointer. One of the things you got to be aware of, they're going to try and block it and carry it back the other way.
It'll be about 39 yards. 39 yards. Wind at Barr's back. On its way, and it is no good. No good. And the Vikings are still alive.
Dick, I saw Joe Gordon, the Pittsburgh public relations man, standing behind the goalpost in the end zone, raised his hands. You could see it was almost in. The ball kicks away. Watch it here. It hits the end zone, or it hits the ball on the line, hits the post,
yep,
and
right.
bounces away, almost inside. Ball will be carried out to the line of scrimmage. That's where the Vikes will start. They've got a long ways to go. They've got to face a tough defense. Tommy Kramer really has his work cut out for him, and as we said, the clock is the enemy, almost as much as the defense at this time.
We say that baseball is a game of inches. Try to explain that one to Matt Barr. Out of the shotgun. From the 22, Minnesota trailing by 6. Complete to Young, tackled by Taves at the 28-yard line, and the Vikings will get the next play off without a huddle.
They've taken Langer out of the game, and I think the reason they're going strictly shotgun, Langer has trouble with that snap. It's not a normal thing for him. They put Swilly back in for this period.
On 2nd down and 4. Kramer. Chased by Lambert, and Taves gets him before he can get out of bounds at the 32-yard line. I believe he picked up the first down. Kramer's going to call time. 1:15 left and 1 timeout remaining for the Minnesota Vikings. Well, if he's going to do it, he's going to have to do it against one of the NFL's very best in this situation.
Well, we'd indicated the number of times that he's had problems. They've usually come when he's getting pressure from the defensive line.
The Vikings with 14 points have made it 23-17, Pittsburgh's lead, and they have the ball. We'll be right back. First, let's go to Bryant in New York.
All right, Dick, thank you. At Shea Stadium, it appears the Jets are as short on temper as they are on talent. Time running out. Matt Cavanaugh just walks his way out of the end zone, takes the intentional safety. But then as everything seems to be quieting down and Ron Earhart just looks on, there's trouble near the Jets sideline. Something's erupting. Mark Gastineau comes across and levels Don Hasselbeck. When was the last time you saw a quarterback stand up for his receiver? Bobby Jackson hits Cavanaugh, then everything breaks loose. Boys will be boys, but the Jets are still the Jets. They're losing. You got it, Dick.
All right, Bryant. You have to have an extra set of eyes to watch the action. It's not just on the field, but the sidelines and much less in the stands. Meanwhile, Bud Grant and Chuck Noll examine the last minute and 15 seconds of this one.
We call that the game away from the ball, and there's a lot of it happening here as well as there.
It was a first down for Kramer on the scramble, but it cost him a timeout. From the 32. Quick toss to Young. That'll be a first down at the 45, and a no huddle. 107, 106, 105 remaining. Taves and Lambert with a tackle. Denver has broken the tie at Cleveland, 19-16. Denver on a Steinfort field goal. Less than a minute remaining. Again to Young. Same play. Another first down to the 44 of Pittsburgh. 49, 48, 47. Lambert made the tackle. Twice in a row they've gone to Young. And again out of the shotgun with 40 seconds now left.
Watch him going deep.
Nope. Same play, and he dropped the ball. That would have taken it to the 35. Well, it works. Why not keep trying it until they stop it?
You have the feeling that they're trying to sucker Pittsburgh into biting on that particular play, and it's certainly the thing they've done effectively, going without the huddle, quickly, not using any of that clock, worked its way down to 35 seconds, even though they're completing those passes. Or is that 55, Dick?
35.
35. They don't have that much left. They may have to go deeper now on this pass.
Robert Miller, 35 in the game. Young, a breather after running 3 straight patterns. Both White and Rashad to the right. Kramer throwing down to Rashad. Out of bounds to stop the clock at the 27. Mel Blunt made the tackle, but Rashad did it exactly right.
Rashad between the defenders, right on the sideline. A pass that has to be thrown perfectly. Kramer getting time in the shotgun. Back, takes one pump to hold the defender, puts it over the top. The safety just a trifle late getting there. That's Mel Blunt, actually, in that situation. Takes him out of bounds, but they've got the first down, and they need to get it in to win this game right down to the end.
30 seconds left. 1 timeout remaining for Kramer and the Vikings. Incomplete to Young. Kramer did a good job of getting it off as he was pressured by 65 Tom Beasley. 24 seconds remaining.
Beasley, beaten on the play, needs to contain. They were running a stunt on the right side of the line. As he swept around, Tommy Kramer started outside. Beasley just dove and got a hold of his foot, just tripped him enough. He threw the ball down. It slipped out of his hand a bit. Otherwise, it might have been a big play.
Bud Grant sends in the play. Chuck Noll, you saw him earlier yelling, "Come on, let's go," to his defense. 2nd and 10 from the 27. Vikings out of the shotgun. Kramer intercepted. Donnie Shell at the 10 and down at the 17. It was intended for Sammy White or Terry LeCount and picked off by Shell, his 2nd interception today, and the 4th by the Steelers, the 5th by the Steelers.
And Kramer learning a bitter lesson. It's not so much moving the ball down there as it is capitalizing twice in a row that he's been intercepted 5 times. He's going to have to learn that he can't afford that bad pass, or his career may not be very long as a quarterback.
He was intercepted 5 times last week, so that's 10 times in 2 games. And those are the kind of statistics that send coaches and players and fans home saying, hey, we had a chance to win that game. And
no
indeed
question.
they did.
No question about it. Moving the ball well and still had time on the clock, down to 15 seconds. You can't afford to lose your patience. Even under this situation, you've got to continue to be patient. You can't throw the bad pass.
The Vikings have called time. That's their last time out. And so all Bradshaw has to do is take the snap and fall on it, and the game will be over. So it's now academic. Stay with us. Brian Gumbel will have the highlights, other scores. Been an interesting game in many ways, though, Merlin Olsen. One, the fact that the Steelers couldn't put the Vikings away. The Vikings, even in defeat, have probably learned something very important today.
Oh, there's no question about that. Bud Grant dealing with a lot of young players, a few veterans, but mostly young players, and they learned about coming back today. I guess in defeat, you hope that there are some lessons and there are some positive notes. Certainly for Grant's team, the fact that they had been beaten so badly in the first half and yet were able to come back, and they've owned the second half. And they have not been a fourth quarter team. In fact, they have given up 55 points in the fourth quarter, and up to that point, usually have been doing pretty well in some games.
Now Bradshaw falls on it, and the game is over. Final seconds tick away. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they've had some tough calls this season. This is their 3rd victory that has had some anxious moments. They are now 4-1. The Vikings fall to 2-3. Chuck Noll and Bud Grant's teams put on quite a show for the sellout crowd in Bloomington, Minnesota. And the Steelers will hang on to at least a portion of first place in the Central Division, and apparently will own it all by themselves as Houston is being beaten by Seattle.
One of the things that good champion must do is win the close ones, the tight ones. The Steelers did that again today.
And they did it on a turf where they had not won before. Pittsburgh goes home with its first victory at Minnesota. Dick Enberg, Merlin Olsen, final again. Steelers 23, Vikings 17.